Mic check, mic check. Just getting situated. Hope everyone had a good day. Just make sure I got everything ready to roll. Plenty to talk about, that's for sure. All right, just like that. We are live. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys tuning in, whether you're watching this live, watching it back. Just documenting my journey as a GameStop investor and what's going on around us as just people watching it, right? I'm no special person. I'm not, oh, I'm telling you this big thing's going to happen, right? OMG, like, trust me, I know. No, that's not the business I'm in. I'm just calling it how I see it, and I'm not always going to get it right, right? But when I get it wrong, I always try and correct it as best I can. But I said it in the past couple streams, even when it was going up, like, trying to temper expectations. This is a reality. We could have a day like this, right? Where there's a little bit of a decline, but it is pretty comical seeing, just one day it goes down and everyone's like, oh, I told you so, told you so. As if you look back at previous times, any other event like this, whether it's GameStop or not, January 2021 or not, there's been plenty of times where there's been rallies that have gone on for a couple weeks and there's been a day or two like this. Like, obviously, it's a very volatile time. And I just want to pull up the chat on the side here real quick. I was getting the laptop on the side just makes it easier, but good times, good times. I mean, good times in terms of the journey, right? Like, there's definitely a lot going on right now. Just the fact people are talking about GameStop, like, that just excites me. And it's just funny, like, people texting me out of nowhere, like, yo, this is what you're always talking about. I'm like, I'm telling you, bro, it's not dead. I'm telling you, you can't forget GameStop. And the articles coming out now are so ridiculous. I copy and pasted this one because it's like on a website where it's like so much spam. But this is this is what popped up in my feed, and I was like, okay, I have to look at this, right? But let's hit the chat real quick before we get into all this. And then we have the clown Dan Olson also decided to tweet. Comes out of the woodwork on a red day. He had nothing to say yesterday though, or the day before, and he's like, I saw a funny comment. He's like a English teacher who's a know-it-all. He's like, these particular apes are thickly sophisticated, and now Roaring Kitty tweets these memes, and let me tell you, like, he's such a bozo. He's a complete bozo. It's just comical to me that he thinks he's this great finance guy. Oh, I know so much about finance. Makes one video, and it's a very one-sided video. He tells a story 100% from his perspective. He doesn't interview anybody, doesn't get anybody else's perspective, just picks and chooses and clips and grabs very particularly how he wants to tell the story, right? So it's just complete nonsense, right? But that's the way she goes. There's always going to be things like that. But damn, chat is already popping off. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's see. Bro, Tetra doing a great job. GME shills. Yeah, they're out there, man. But thanks for being here, Patrick Scott. Hit the like button. Patrick, I appreciate that. Tap, tap, tap. That's right. Like. Are doing their best to skew any information out there. Oh, yeah, Scott. Oh, yeah. I'm starting to see it already. Just looking at these articles, big time. And that's where you see like AMC being forced up with it, right? And you see a headline like this, right? You know what? Morant's Tetron doing the best to get the facts out. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you. Policy regulators like Morantz or Houston Wade out there shilling bullshit. Houston Wade is sadly sketchy. Not familiar with Houston, but yeah, listen, Morantz has always been good to me, so that's all I'm gonna say. Because I'm seeing all these different things out there right now, and I don't know all the little details, but I just focus on what I'm doing, and that's that. But all I can say is Morantz has been very good to me. He shouted out to me many times. So having said that, the amount of anti-DRS spam is amazing. These idiots are definitely not rich, have never been wealthy. Yeah, Scott. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna ever tell anyone what they have to do, but I just see what DRS is and why individuals do DRS. Let's see. Never seen bad stuff. Yeah, again, not interested in the drama, but affection generative. Yes. Okay, moving on. Scott from Oxford, Michigan, USA. I'm aware most people misguide the GME because of AM, because cause to AMC. I don't understand why. So really, it's just the idea of AMC is just diluted and endlessly screwed over the shareholders. And you look at how much the executives get paid, and you look at their ties to private equity, and it's like, wow, how interesting is it that they're force associated? And I think it just goes back to January 2021. For whatever reason, AMC became highly associated with GameStop, and it's just that narrative is peddled like ever since. Anytime there's any kind of price like this, like, look, it's time for AMC also, right? But I worked as a postman. We all happy with GME and the possibilities it give us. Me too, Svevin. I mean, not I haven't worked as a postman, but yeah, I'm happy with the opportunities it gives me. And honestly, I think it's just truly one of the most unique investment stories, if not the most unique investment story in history of the market. Right? We won't leave Taylor Swift up here. we'll go to the canvas as I'm going through this. All the GameStop numbers, right? In case you guys are curious, I made these a little while back. When 420, Eric, thanks for being here. I think you maybe meant 420, but that's all right. You aren't that important. Can't stop, won't stop. 4,200. Hey, your words, not mine, but thanks for being here. Me homies, go visit the boys in Alberta. Patrick, what's up? Waiting for the cranberries and cherries from the Mediterranean. I'll be over there this year. All right, everyone's just chatting. My bad. I was trying to catch all the chats, but I'm trying to read them in real time. I'm basically just reading it. But yo, Tetron, dearest GME, thanks for being here. Hi, Tetron, volume, volume, volume. How can it be? Yeah, Jackson's. I mean, I tweeted at the end of the day here, since we're going to Twitter anyway. And this clown Dan Olson. Like, let's just go through this real quick, right? Just the nonsense going on. One red day, and he starts, oh, apes are having a bitter week. GME's having another FOMO-fueled run, but generally speaking, ape cost base is too high for them to make life-changing money. They resent that they should settle for break-even when less emotionally invested traders are making a killing. So he talks all sophisticated, just assumes, oh yeah, everybody is just this very high cost basis, not taking into account a lot of individuals have averaged down. There's traders, there's investors, there's all different types of people, but just groups, right? And basically goes on to say that the only reason it's running up is because of memes from Roaring Kitty. And anyone who's paying attention understands that's simply not what's happening. It's not that plain and simple. But this isn't the week it's over. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? Or a day after it's Unistock, this gambling could have believably break $10 as it could have hit 100. The things we know it's memes always has been. Listen, Dan. Dan's gonna say what Dan's gonna say, right? But one thing's for sure, GameStop lives in this guy's head rent free, right? This is how I imagine him typing this, because he can't get enough of it. He can't let it go, right? You don't see him continuously talking about his other videos in post tweets after that, right? And speaking of, you know, what I just realized I never tweeted out the stream, guys. Let's do that real quick. But listen, you know, like I'm trying not to engage. Like I just like I'll troll him a little bit, right? Because you can tell too, and like what he put out there, he's trying to like antagonize people a little bit, and I'm alright with that. I could troll him a little bit back, right? But I'm not gonna go on and on about drama. But I'm just trying to point out like the nonsense going on. You see a headline like this, I'm like, okay, what is this, right? And then you see this has been a tough day for short sellers of GameStop. Charlie Gasparino. It's like 2021 all over again. It's been a tough day for short sellers in GameStop. Charlie Gasparino. I guess this was from yesterday or when the day started. Gary Kusin likened the company's fan base to the global legions of Swifties, attributing their influence as a driving force behind the stock's Reddit rally in 2021 and in most recent boost over 134% in just 2 days. When something jeopardizes the company so intertwined with their life memories, they will quickly bow their backs and fight. Emotion wins over analytics every time the topic is the fabric of their lives. Kusin, who co-founded the video game retailer Babbage's, never even heard of them, not surprised, which now operates as Oh, whoops. No, I thought it was something else. But see, and this is horribly formatted because the website literally has so many ads, like you can't even see it. Everything's just popping up, right? But he stepped down in 1995, but board witnessed the frenzy of retail investors that pumped up the stock a few years ago, hammering short sellers and torpedoing hedge fund Melvin Capital. So this guy's been long out of it. So I would take his opinion with the absolute grain of salt. It's never surprised me when a high IQ, analytically wired person misses the EQ of a population whom everything is very personal. GameStop shares have soared Monday, Tuesday after Keith Gill, otherwise known as Roaring Kitty, the key figure behind the stock surge, reemerged on X. It was the first time Gill was back on social media after an apparent 3-year hiatus. A post from Gill, which appeared to be a drawing of a gamer, sparked a buying frenzy in the stock favored by Reddit users and other retail investors despite no concrete news. It brought back memories of the 2021 surge when the stock rose 130%, 0.94% at one point, causing significant financial consequences for short sellers. So who is Roaring Kitty? Just go on to it. And basically just saying like, just like this Taylor Swift fan, it's just nonsense, right? It's just absolute nonsense. That's the short way to put it. And it's just funny watching the media try so hard to like validate why this is happening, right? And just get this tweeted out here. Live now on YouTube. By the way, never type YouTube or Twitter algo does not like that. Maybe Dan will join. Maybe some of Dan's followers are going to hop in, right? I don't think so. Let's get this out real quick. Why does Twitter be bugging like that? Why am I still popped up here? But yeah, it's just comical. If you're not really paying attention, people think like, oh, it's just memes, right? And then all of a sudden, it's just going up. Like it's so not that simple. It really has to do with the options chain and just the fact push it down, push it down, push it down, right? However it's being done by institutions, just constantly betting against it. just putting more and more pressure on it, right? And you just see the options changes looking absolutely ludicrous right now. And if GameStop were to somehow go to 120 by the end of this week, or $100, 115, whatever the highest call option is, I really think we're going to see fireworks next week. And I want to be perfectly clear. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's very likely that does not happen. But what you can expect is a lot of volatility, right? And like the tweet I put out first thing today was expect lots of volatility in Roaring Kitty tweets today. And yeah, he was putting them out every single 15 minutes. And this is what I put on the Jim Cramer thing, because this was his post here, right? And I was like, everyone's like, why did he put it to 231 and it's not a video? I said, no video this time. That was my initial thought. But then I was like, wait, look what Jim Cramer posted. GME is too high versus the comps. Need more funny emojis. A bear sitting in a recliner. And sure enough, his next tweet, right? Like this tweet is 2:18 Eastern. Roaring Kitty tweets at 2:31, so he was quick with it. And I just found that hilarious. He's like, all right, I'm gonna troll everyone. And then also, I think why Dan Olson came out today and is like talking about GameStop is because in the one video, I don't know if you noticed, it was actually him talking, saying, maybe there's somebody to blame. Maybe it's Roaring Kitty. And then he clipped it of like The Rock was like, shut up, bitch. Like I just thought that was hilarious. But oh man, you gotta. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love this journey. No matter what happens today, tomorrow, whenever, I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm meeting so many great people along the way. I'm just trying to be genuine as fuck because that's all I can do. And there's so many genuine people out there, and it's so awesome just connecting with you guys and just being on this journey. And listen, everybody's in it for their own reasons. Some people say hold forever. Some people are, okay, I'm trading. Sometimes I'm doing options. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Know thyself. That's what I've been saying these last few days, and I'm sticking to that. Know thyself. Stick to your plan. Don't let your emotions get involved, right? It's about using logic. And obviously, you feel emotions like, wow, like I'm watching the stock price all day. I wanted to go up right here. I put out a video. I was like, forget GameStop, right? Like just trolling around. I'm sure you guys saw that on X, but I'm just enjoying the ride, is what I'm saying. And looking at the chart here, we did hold up pretty well here towards the end of the day, or about in the midday, I should say, in like the 30s, kind of around this previous price. And those of you that know me know I don't really do TA, but just the fact it's holding up pretty well, despite a red day. Like it went up a little later on in the day, and yes, now we have a little bit dip in the after hours, but it's only Wednesday. And also, when you look back at January 2021, it wasn't just like a 1 day thing, right? So if you look back here, like these are all 1 week candles. This is a 3 week run up type of thing. And here we had a 3 week run up. This was a 3 week run up. This was 3.5 week, right? 4 week with one red week in there. And of course, there's times like this, right, where it was really just like 2 weeks where it really went up and fell down. So I'm just saying you don't ever know for sure, right? And already, then again, you could say like, well, GameStop's already ran for a few weeks here, but history repeat can rhyme, but not necessarily like repeat itself, right? But I feel all right, and that's also easy to say because I've been in it a while. I've seen this volatility, this type of thing happen over and over, but it just makes me laugh, like reading all the things going on, like all the news articles. And I was going through one like yesterday as well, and that was very fun. But it's all a good ride, right? To me, it's really enjoyable, and at the end of the day, people are always going to have their opinions, right? And some are going to be louder than others, and that's just the way it goes. But yeah, let's hit the chat one more time. Let's talk about that money. Zane? Yes, sir. Thanks for being here. What up, y'all? Can't stop, won't stop. Blitch. Too many stupid BS trolls online. Exactly, Patrick. Exactly. Clueless idiots really think it's only up because of Kitty. They have no idea the layers of this play. You aren't that important. You are absolutely right. I think you are important, so you should change your name. But yeah, no, exactly. Hit that like button. Yes, sir. Scott, thanks for being here. Embrace this media craziness. Yes, we are all meme coin trading Swifties. Yeah, exactly, Sven. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, sure. That's what you guys want to say, right? And it's funny though, the frustrating part of it, right, is people don't see what's really going on or understand how we've gotten to where we are today, that this didn't just happen out of nowhere. But at the same time, it's still people talking about it and just more and more attention on it, which is, and enjoyment for me, right? Like I've just been doing hardcore, like with the memes and just truly enjoying all of Roaring Kitty's memes every single day. So that's been a good time. What's up? Because I can. Thanks for being here. Leaps, Gamma, and 69%. Stocks not available for shorts, and in the money options getting interesting. Will be rolling even without X memes. Exactly, Patrick. Exactly. Very good points. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for being here. Thanks for popping in. Bear sitting on a recliner. Yes, sir. I only have 100 tickets. Sven, listen, everyone's got to do their own thing. I'm sure I know for sure there's people with way larger share positions to me, but there's definitely people with smaller share positions, right? It's knowing about like one where you are financially, and you never want to put in general when you're investing more than you can afford to lose. Like you never want to just put too much in to the point where like, oh, I'm stressing at the end of the week because I have to make rent or I have to pay for this, I have to pay for that. You never want to be in that position, no matter how much you love a company or love a stock or even the S&P 500. I would say like you have to be in good financial standing, and it's all about knowing thyself and where you're at. So I think that's totally fine. It doesn't matter where you're at, right? One ticket's all you need. Let's see for a seat. Hey, Yumien, thanks for being here. Appreciate you popping in. But yeah, and then I saw Renaissance Technologies, founded by Jim Simmons. Rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to him. I know he just passed away. I think it was like a few days ago, maybe a week ago. And this is the first time they've bought GameStop shares, although they bought AMC too. Ugh. But it's the first time they bought GameStop shares since 2021, or I think it was Q4 2021. No, Q4 2020, but first time in a long time. Point being, they're a firm that's known for making trades based off of very deep, like technological indicators, and they performed very well. So it's interesting to see them buy GameStop right now. It doesn't necessarily mean anything in particular, but just thought I'd share that. And then also, you have stuff like this going on, where this guy, Senator Tommy Tuberville, whatever his name is, I don't know, just goes 100 trades, all these different things. He's making leverage positions for companies that he's involved in, like the legislation and the decision making that goes on in Capitol Hill. And it's totally fine, nothing to see here. But Roy and Kitty posting memes should be investigated, because I'm sure you guys saw yesterday the SEC former SEC chair that was saying, "Oh, this is not right. I don't like it." If he loves GameStop so much, come on CNBC and talk about it, like baiting him to get caught in like a bullshit lawsuit type of thing. But that's just how it goes, right? You just gotta laugh at everything going on and just formulate your own opinion. That's really the main thing, I would say, because everyone's always going to have an opinion, right? And some are going to be louder than others, and that's just the way it goes. And you have stuff like this going on, right? Like the Taylor Swift article saying, "Oh yeah, imagine if her loyal fans bought her stock the way they buy her music. Now imagine a Wall Street hedge fund analyst doing the work and concluding that the Taylor Swift stock is very overpriced and a real short opportunity for a hedge fund doing short investing." He explained, "It's easy to value each song based on its historical sales and future value. It's also easy to value her next album based on history. If word got out that a firm was going to try to drive Taylor Swift stock down, I don't think it is much of a leap to believe that the Taylor Swift stock would quickly become a meme stock and the legions of Swifties would once again win." Like, it's just nonsense what we're reading, right? And I bet if we go on to Yahoo Finance right now, we're going to see a bunch of nonsense as well. But again, when in doubt, zoom out. Like you look at the price. This accumulation really started Thursday, Friday of not even last week, the week before, right? So if we zoom in over here, before we get into the nonsense Yahoo Finance articles, Thursday out of nowhere, something happened, right? And it seemed to be like a lot of call option volume. Some speculate its deep value, but there's obviously no way to know that. And price went from 11, closes at nearly 13, about 12 or so. And then Friday has a very large move, has a large move in the morning, kind of stays stagnant. And then a very large move, especially in the power hour. And then over weekends, like, okay, things are looking pretty interesting. What's going on here? And then the morning goes up to 20, comes down, comes back, kind of holds steady the rest of the week pretty much. And then going into Thursday, it makes a run at the end of the day. And then Friday, first thing in the morning, right, it runs up and comes straight back down and then back to going sideways, right? Like nothing happened out in a ton of volume. But then obviously over the weekend, Roaring Kitty tweets, and that's when, sorry, this is Friday. Then Roaring Kitty tweets and just starts a huge run up. You have all these trading halts taking place. Look how strange these candles look. That's because of all the trading halts that were taking place there. So there's a huge run up in the morning. All of a sudden, social media is buzzing about it again. It comes down, kind of starts moving sideways, holds up very well throughout the remainder of the day. And there's still a good social media buzz going on about it, but it really kind of died down towards the end of the day, I would say. But then overnight trading, or overnight trading, take that with a grain of salt, right? Or just post market. That's what's pictured here in the blue. This post market run up was like, okay, seems like we're getting ready to rally again tomorrow. And that kind of started the morning run where I think a lot of people were jumping in the pre market, like, okay, I'm getting big time FOMO. I got to hop in, right? Because it held up throughout Monday in terms of the price after the craziness in the morning and all the halts. There wasn't a whole lot of halts in here, but held up pretty well. And then you go into Tuesday, and obviously we had absolute madness in the pre-market. Some could speculate someone's position got liquidated at this point, but also in general, pre-market trading, there's not as many bids and asks on the books because it's not regular market trading. It's what it is, pre-market. So with that being the case, the price can fluctuate a lot more, generally speaking. If you look at other stocks too, that is typically the case. And then Tuesday, we come straight down in the morning. Pretty much we go sideways, we go straight down later in the day. Bounce back all right. Kind of hold up a little bit towards the end of the day, and the post-market trading rallies a little bit. Then in the morning with the pre-market, it starts falling down, just going down, 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 down. And we've kind of had today where it kind of pretty much went down in the morning, goes sideways. It's rallied a little bit now. Then here we are in the post-market. It's kind of dropped off and then back around the levels it was, I'd say the average of today. And with that being said, I tweeted out like the summary right here. GameStop closes today at 39.50 50 50. What am I? Oh my gosh, I can't even talk sometimes, guys. It's crazy. GameStop closes today at 39.55. The high of the day was 42.35. The low of the day was 31.23. And what I didn't add in here was the high of the pre-market, which was about 64 or so, about 64.28 roughly. So that's definitely something to think about, or probably would have been good to include in here. But it still has 7 trading halts today, 125.9 million volume, and the kicker is 520 million shares changed hands over these past few days, which I definitely think is possible in terms of just a lot of people buying into it. Definitely a lot of traders getting into it. Volatility absolutely brings in traders, but at the same time, I think it's not being accounted for and it's not being respected. That there's a lot of people like myself who've just bought consistently previously and are just holding right now, and that's just where I'm at. I obviously can't speak for everyone, but it's just also you shouldn't expect the media to tell the true story. Like, it's the mainstream media we're talking about here. You really think they're going to tell the truth of what's going on? I mean, just look at the world we live in right now, right? But it's quite the time, right? It's quite the journey we're on. Like, everyone's on their own journey, right? I'm just documenting mine, but I'm enjoying every minute of this. And listen, if it comes back down and it stays stagnant for a while, so be it. I know what it can be long term. I know what I believe to be going on underlying. And I think as long as the company succeeds and just keeps driving forwards, ultimately what's underlying will just bubble to the surface. Maybe it'll be today, maybe it'll be tomorrow, maybe it'll be a couple weeks from now, maybe a couple months, couple years. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not here to tell you, but that's where my head's at right now. So just documenting it as I go. Bear sitting on a recliner. Yep. So true. Ryan Coded Insiders, 20% of float. Yes, sir. Retail DRS, 25%. Published short interest, 24%. Company's profitable, shorts do not cover. Yeah, memes. Exactly, Patrick. Well said. Yeah. And even if Roaring Kitty didn't come back, I mean, I don't know if we'd be this high right now. Obviously, I don't think we'd have the same volume, but it's just tweeting memes at the end of the day, right? How could you say, like, oh, he's making everybody buy? Like, he's just a guy tweeting memes. Like, it's truly just, like, just the fact it's even come to this, right? That he returns and he just starts tweeting memes, and it's like, ah, like, right? It's just crazy. It's just crazy on, like, both sides of it, right? Like, it's truly like a unique time we're living through, and just seeing the big accounts like on X talk about it, I think that's absolutely hilarious too. Trying to validate it and be like, oh yeah, like, well, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. Well, look at all these people. AMC and GME are the same thing, right? And just try and cut through all the noise and get to the main points and just find the details. And you can keep up with the details with me at TetraInvest on X/Twitter. I did a space last night, so I'm trying to do more of those, just connect with more people. And also the thing is too, a lot of people that own GameStop now versus 2021 are so much more educated on functionality of the stock market, how market makers works, how markets are made, and overall just functionality and how stocks trade in general, and just a lot of the shady things that go on underlying. And it's not just GameStop. This has gone on forever, and just the nature of the industry, right? Look at 2008 and what happened. There's been a lot of shady things going on for a long time, and you learn with the DTC is a depository trust company. Everyone has a DTC control number if you're part of it, so you can easily just move it back and forth because everything's technically under the entity of Seed & Co. And the ACAT system is part of NSCC, which is National Securities Clearing Corporation, which is part of the depository trust company. So it's all set up to be simple, right, and convenient for individual investors, but at the same time, it sets it up for the opportunity of bad actors, or I guess you should say, or I should say, not bad actors, but for the potential for there to be bad actors or people making decisions, right, that are a little shady when, especially when you're a hedge fund and a market maker. It's like, yes, they're separate entities, but I'll leave it at that. What's up, Tetron? How are you today? Danzo, good to see you, man. I'm doing very good. Listen, obviously, I wish the price was green, but I had a great day. I was really enjoying the memes, just talking to everyone online and just people talking about GameStop. It's a good time. And this journey's far from over. I really do believe that. So I'm just riding the waves, but I hope you're doing well. GME 2.0, baby. We've got fundamentals and education behind us this time. Exactly, Ryan. Exactly. People say, oh, GameStop investors are all uneducated. Like, okay, that's fine. You can think whatever you want, right? But it's just so much deeper. And there's no one video or one explanation or one thing you could tell anyone, right? I'm going one, 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 as I'm going one, two, three. But there's no one thing that you can clearly show someone to make them understand just, oh wow, this is it, right? There's not even just one video. Usually how it goes, I feel like, is there's one video that sparks someone's interest and they go down the rabbit hole and read more and more and more about what's going on and how things work. And again, I want to be perfectly clear, you should be down that rabbit hole, right? Or what rabbit hole you want to go down is up to you, but you have to make your own determinations, do your own research, do your own due diligence. Never just blindly trust anyone. Please do not do that. Don't trust me blindly. Don't trust anyone else blindly, right? You always got to do your homework, always got to do your research. But with that being said, when you go down that rabbit hole or whatever rabbit hole you go down, you start to understand a lot of the different things at play and that it's not just about a video game retailer, right? It's so much more than that. And one, what they're trying to become, and two, what's going on behind the scenes, right? And again, you can make your own determination as to what you truly believe to be going on down behind the scenes, but that's just how it goes. 2 weeks, my assumption is due to the Fortnite post. Alina, thanks for being here. See, my son has 400 shares and he put me a limit sell for 100. I think he's paper handing. Alina, listen, there's going to be paper hands along the way, but as long as institutions are continuing to bet against it, if they're shorting it, they're going to have to buy it back, right? So I think at the end of the day, the paper hands are going to get drowned out and it's not going to truly hurt everything, or I guess the company as a whole in the long term, or the performance of the stock in the long term, right? This is truly unprecedented territory, shorting a profitable company during a squeeze, just enjoying the journey and believing in the DD. Exactly, Ryan, exactly. You can't say it's exactly going to be like this or going to be like that, but what you can say is there's something strange about this company, right? Even if you're watching from afar, I think people are looking at it now like, how is this happening again? How could this be? And it's truly comical to me to think that people really think, oh, perfectly right now, everyone just bought in at the same time and just dumped all their money. It's like, it's not a time of a lot of stimulus and an overall great economy. So that theory is just nonsense to me. It's truly just nonsense. This is definitely institutions, and we're getting 13F filings coming out right now. Where is it over here? So you can see in this picture, right? Look at a lot of these firms starting to accumulate shares. Like this is the latest change, right? And these are backdated, right? So these are 13F filings, but they come out on delay. So for what's going on right now, we're not going to see for like a month or two. And when we see that, it'll be interesting to see how what firms have accumulated shares and what maybe has taken place, right? But also just the nature of the reporting and short interest. There's just so much that's so shady, right? And so complex. And I feel like you got to just keep learning about it every day. I know that's what I'm trying to do, but that's just how it goes. Or swinging, I go down a lot of I go down a lot of rabbit holes. Sven, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean, bro. I hear you. I've been trading on T121. I've seen some crazy things happen. Like I just saw it pop off and jumped on, then deleted loads of posts explaining things. Marcus, thanks for being here. I wish I could say I'm surprised. I really do, but let's see the articles, right? Newman White car insurance costs of surging, and also you look at like, oh, Warren Buffett can, this stock's trending, right? What is it called that he just bought? Chubb Limited. I don't really know anything about them. Apparently, there's some kind of insurance company, but he can ask the SEC for special permission to not have it publicly disclose that he's accumulating shares, which I get it. Like obviously he's Warren Buffett. That's a very unique situation, but that can happen, and you can have government officials trading like this. But Roaring Kitty tweets memes. You have the former SEC chair coming on saying, "Yeah, I don't like it. That's crazy." everybody should just we should look into this. Like, it's just absolute nonsense. So I wish I could say I was surprised that I really do. But it's just also like, if it was truly not a big deal, right? It truly shorts all covered. There's not a lot of institutions betting against this in whatever shape or form. Then why would these articles have to be peddled and pushed out so aggressively, right? And AMC, from their perspective, they're like, shit, we're just paying ourselves like crazy. Every time this happens to GameStop, our stock gets pushed to the masses, and then we can just dilute and screw over the shareholders some more and stuff our own pockets. So that's like the unfortunate part of it, and that's why AMC, I think, frustrates me and a lot of other individuals out there. So, see, AMC seizes rally to shed debt. GME meme stocks reverse lower. Let's see what this one says. Oh, gonna bring me some stupid website. Meme stocks reverse sharply lower Wednesdays. GME stock and AMC stock shed some gains from the week's massive rally. Meanwhile, AMC moved to use the gains to scratch off more debt. Then on Wednesday, it entered private debt equity swap agreements to exchange shares for newly issued stock. Barrington analyst James Gosan, in a Tuesday research note, said the recent meme surge presents an opportunity for AMC to raise funds. The Fly reported the first quarter marked a difficult start to the year, and Q2 is off to a slow start as well. No kidding, not doing anything to improve, and everything's going online in terms of movies. Oh my god, too many paywalls. Forget it. We're done with this website. But you just read the articles and you like I genuinely try and read them like unbiasedly and think like, okay, if I wasn't into GameStop the way I was, like what would I think of these? And it just sounds like bullshit. It just sounds like bullshit, right? GameStop's window to cash in on the meme stock rally is closing. Let's see this one. A a reckless 2 week stretch for GameStop Corporation has more than tripled its share price, but the company itself hasn't taken advantage of the surge by selling stock. So being critical of the company, and the explanations about why are wide ranging. Unlike AMC Entertainment Holdings, a fellow meme stock darling that did cash and as spikes, his shares spiked. Look at that. So look what they're doing right there. They're trying to say like, oh well, look, AMC is smart for taking advantage of this, and GameStop's not. Oh yeah, AMC's smart for endlessly diluting their shareholders. Look at AMC stock, right? Look at GameStop stock on a 1 year chart. Look at AMC stock on a 1 year chart. Exactly. Look on a 6 month chart. Look at GME on the 6 month chart, right? Like all of them, if you look at it, GameStop outperforms. GameStop always outperforms any other meme stock. If you bought any quote meme stock in the beginning of, let's say, 2021, January 1st, 2021, and you compare it to GameStop's performance since the start of 2021, GameStop has significantly outperformed. That's just the bottom line. And GameStop diluted initially after the run up, right? And that's what, of course, they will fail to mention in this article here. They were diluting right around here, or when I say diluting, not a mass dilution. They sold enough shares, so they were able to restructure, have a strong balance sheet, 1.2 billion in cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. You can see right here, about 392 per share in cash, cash equivalents, marketable securities. So they have a strong balance sheet now. They paid off all that bad debt they had, and the like. If you look on Yahoo Finance, though, right, for example, like just show you real quick. People say, "Oh, well," and this is why you have to read the numbers, right, and look at the filings. People say, "Oh, well, GameStop, they have so much debt still, but nothing compared to AMC." And if you look at it here, right, 602 million. But you know what that accounts for? The leases that they have for their stores that operate, which means if all of a sudden, right, they go only online, they're like, fine, we're going to close every single store, which I don't see them doing, then they would still be able to cover the remaining leases and have a lot of cash on their balance sheet. So they've completely just restructured to be in a better place. And they're at a point now where they're becoming profitable. Like look at year over year for full year profitability. Like they went from a negative 5.3% net margin to a zero point 0.1. Yes, not the most impressive, but you can see that they're cutting costs year over year. You can look at 22, 23. And then you could also see their net revenue went from negative 313 million to 6.7 million. Yes, it's not ideal that top line revenue went down, but they're focusing on trimming the fat and just having a business in place that executes efficiently, because so long as they're making a profit, they can keep stacking the balance sheet and then find things to do with their cash, whether it be an acquisition, share buyback, a dividend. That may be to be determined, but also, beyond all that, I truly believe, and again, just my opinion, what happened in 2021 with GameStop was never fully done, right? And you look at the SEC report and you see a lot of the volume. What is going on here? A lot of the volume taking place was not short covering. It was actually retail buying and a gamma squeeze because of all the options. So, with that being the case, it would seem that maybe one could suppress short interest and bet against a company in some shape or form that doesn't show reported short interest. And even reported short interest is still high relative to other stocks for GameStop. It's about 25% right now. So, with all that being the case, there's just so much going on here, right? And I just said so much so fast. Like, there's so many ways I can just break down a bunch of those points I just made. So it's really comical to just say like, oh yeah, like they should have sold shares. Like, no, no, I don't think so. GameStop apparently didn't have a so-called at-the-market filing in place ahead of the rally, which would allow it to sell new shares with no additional paperwork. The retailer is also expected to release quarterly earnings soon and may have decided it wouldn't or couldn't speed up the disclosures. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the joke of the SEC, would likely require to sell new stock. For companies to set up and sell shares in an at-the-money offering, they would need to disclose any material information, which would include earnings in some capacity, said Jay Ritter, professor of finance at the University of Florida. If the ATM was already ongoing, like AMC had, because they constantly have to dilute just to stay afloat, was ongoing, since it's up to a broker dealer to execute the trades rather than the company, there's less disclosure required than if a company tells a broker dealer to start issuing. Even if the regulatory lane was clear, a move for GameStop to sell new shares for the first time since 2021, when it raised more than $1 billion, could irk loyal traders who have touted its clean balance sheet. I'm one of them. With essentially zero debt and $1 billion in cash as a reason why the company was a bargain as recently as a few weeks ago. Hey, one accurate thing they've said, surprisingly. AMC, by contrast, is negotiating with its creditors to extend obligations. Bloomberg intelligence analyst Kevin Neer and Geetha highlighted prior to the company's debt for equity swap that AMC had $624 million in cash at the end of the first quarter, ahead of its $250 million raise, along with roughly $4.5 billion in debt. And look at how much the executives make. If you don't believe me, look at how much the executives make and what a difference it's making. Overpaid executives, ridiculous, including a $2.8 billion 2026 maturity wall. God damn. So you know what that means? Even after this, right? Even after raising some capital yesterday, they're still going to have to sell more shares. Who's going to give them debt right now when the business is at the state it is and when you look at the numbers on it? So, GameStop over AMC. That's my opinion. I'll say that. How much emphasis are you putting into DFV's tweet, the contents, and the intervals between the tweets specifically? Ryan, that's a good question. The tweets are exciting, right? And I think it's kind of saying the idea. I mean, you could look at each one individually, right? But now at this point, there's so many, so I'll talk about it like in general. In terms of the intervals, I think he's just predetermined that, and part of it is maybe I don't want it to be like, oh, well, I'm tweeting at this time and this certain thing is happening, right? Because we live in a crazy enough world now. While I don't think it would hold up in court, I would not be entirely surprised, and I hope I'm wrong, to see a lawsuit come his way or some kind of like shut up lawsuit, like, oh, well, you can't talk anymore, you can't tweet anything because you're currently going through a lawsuit. And even if he wins, right, because it'd be complete bogus, what are they going to say? Oh, he's tweeting memes, oh, he's moving the stock with memes, oh. Even if they went through that, right, it's like the process is the punishment, because then he wouldn't be able to say anything, right? He essentially would have a gag order, and on top of it, like, they'd be able to smear his name in the media. So I think that's an aspect of it where he's like, okay, well, if I time them out, it's like, well, I'm just doing it on a consistent basis, so what are you going to say about that? So maybe that's part of it. But in terms of what they're saying, I think there's little meanings, like just little ways if he's communicating and just sharing what he thinks about what's going on. But at the same time, like, I think he's just having fun with it, just like everyone else, like replying to tweets like myself and just talking about GameStop. I think he's just having fun with it. But I do think it's very possible he bought some calls or averaged down when the share. I mean, it wouldn't be averaging down for him, but acquiring shares when it was in that $10 to $11 range, right? Where we're looking at the chart here, and right before this run up, right, this sudden move Thursday afternoon, and also the sudden influx in volume. Maybe it was within here that he looked at it and he was like, "This is a ridiculous price point. This is the lowest it's been in a very long time. Um, excuse me, I have some diamond balls, so I'm gonna pick up some shares." Right? That's some of my speculation on that. Let's see. We definitely rise tomorrow. Boom candles. Hey, listen, Alina, your words, not mine. I think it's definitely possible. You know, there's 2 whole trading days left. Still a lot of people talking about it. And I would imagine some of the people that were wishing they got in earlier in the week are thinking like, okay, well, this is my dip chance. And again, when in doubt, zoom out. Like you look at these candles, like they're huge. And if you look at the candles back in January 2021 and leading up to it, we had very dramatic moving days, right? So with that being the case, you have to understand like this is going to be a volatile week the rest of the week and next week. Like literally, no matter what, there's going to be a lot of volatility. I would absolutely expect that. So we shall rise tomorrow. Hey, Matthew, thanks for being here. Honestly, bro, it's 1 a.m. Gonna have to fall asleep listening to this shit. But you're definitely onto something. The most dodgy stuff been going on. Exactly, Marcus. And listen, no, I appreciate it. This is the cool part about doing my channel. It's sick that there's literally people watching all around the world, right? Like, I know obviously I'm not the biggest channel, and I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, like I'm the next Roaring Kitty. Like, I'm gonna put on like a redhead man. Like, no, no, there's only one Roaring Kitty. But it's just so dope that I have people that I've connected with too that live in Europe and live in all parts of the world. And I never really thought I would have that opportunity to just meet people like all over the place. But that's the power of the internet, right? Like it's truly remarkable. And I think, there's also a lot of people looking at what's happening and are like, screw the hedge funds, screw Wall Street, but is it really like, can I really quote get back at them with GameStop? So I think there's just a lot of different opinions and a lot of different emotions going on with it right now. And I really do enjoy reading what everyone's putting online, like especially X, both like the giant accounts that are just saying like, oh, it's all because of the memes, and the people that are really looking at the details and the data and the options trades and the option chain, all of that, right? It's really good just to try and see all perspectives to just get a feel of how a lot of different people are feeling and just perspectives that are going on. So I'm down with GME right now, but I sold AMC and bought Nvidia and made money there. Hey, Ellie, thanks for being here. I'm happy for you, honestly. One, that you got out of AMC, you saw the nonsense it was. And two, with GME, listen, that's how it's going to go sometimes. It's a volatile play. So you got to understand, you got to be able to understand what's going on and to be able to stomach the volatility. And for me, if it goes all the way back down to 10, it's fantastic. I'll just buy more and hang on for the long term, right? And that's just how I roll. That's just me. But and in terms of Nvidia, listen, I'm definitely happy people making money, right? And I'm not saying like you can only own GameStop, right? I want to be perfectly clear when I'm saying GameStop's not like the rest that it's categorized with AMC, Bed Bath, Cost, all these different names, right? And you see like Plug Power running out of nowhere. It's like, oh, here's the next meme stock, or DJT, or that was like the what's the next play, right? Oh, they're talking about direct registration. You have all these other names around it, right? GameStop truly stands out from all those, but there's nothing wrong with investing in Nvidia if you believe in it and you have due diligence or reason to believe it's going to be worth more. For example, for me, I like cybersecurity stocks because I think that's an industry that's not going away. It's ever evolving. Hackers just keep evolving and doing more and more. So cybersecurity has to keep evolving and doing more and more, and it becomes more and more essential for companies to have strong cybersecurity. So that's like an industry I believe in. So I'm not saying like, oh, GameStop's the only stock you're allowed to own, right? Like I'm absolutely not saying that, but it's definitely my favorite stock and it's the most unique to me, and just the nature of it and just everything going on behind it I think is just truly awesome. Leap theory, I believe. Or lamp theory maybe, Sven? Is that what you mean? Oh wait, I gotta get caught up here. Let's see. We'll definitely rise tomorrow. Get your average buy in lower. Exactly. No need to rush out of GME. It's a good stock. Exactly, Sven. 374 shares at 43.81 average. Is that solid? Taylor, I think so. I think if that's good for you, that's solid, right? It's all about knowing thyself. Like I'll stick to that. It's knowing about what's best for you and where you're at as a person. And everyone's financial situation is different, right? So I don't ever say like, oh, you need to have more shares. No, like if you have a position and you're good with it, great. If you feel like you can own more, then you should strategically analyze when the best time for you to accumulate more is, right? And again, not there's traders and there's investors. For me, I'm an investor. I just buy and hold. I'm not messing with any options right now. First time around January 2021, I was messing with options a little bit. I was very, very fortunate to make a very, very significant amount of money. I had an incredible fate where at that time I was still using Robinhood. I had been day trading, it's pandemic era, so I was like, okay, I'm going to become a day trader. I'm a master at this, right? No, obviously not. And luckily, I was smart enough to not use a lot of money and have as much money, right? I'm still a younger individual, still building myself up. So with that being the case, I was trading options, and I'm trading options. I run out of day trades, and I buy a far out of the money GME call, and I'm like, okay, I'll just hold this till tomorrow. And I bought it at 200. It goes to like 1200 by the end of the day because the price starts to move later in the day. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I can't sell out right now. I'd be up $1,000. Like, this is so epic. Oh my god. I guess I gotta hold till tomorrow. Sure enough, keeps rising in the after hours. That's when Elon Musk tweets GameStonk, and the next day it opens at just catastrophic levels, and that literally changed my life. I was able to sell off a not sell off, pay off a student loan, and after that I still mess with options a little bit. Right, I'll show you in like this period here, right up until about here. After this run up here, like the June one, I was like, no more options. I'm going straight shares from here on out. So I was really playing options all in this range. And then from here, I just went shares only, right? And I've honestly personally just kind of moved away from options entirely. On occasion, I'll make maybe a trade, right? Like something I did about 6 months back at this point, 7 months, and I'm going to try and just let it expire worthless. I sold a put for GME. So those of you that aren't aware, that is a bullish position. Basically means if GameStop stays above a certain price point by said expiry date, then I get to keep the option premium. And in return, right, I have to put up that amount as collateral. So for example, I'm not going to say like the specific option because I don't want anyone to go blindly follow it. If it was a $15 put for this June, let's say for example, I would put up 1500 and then I would collect the premium, right? So if you look at options, right? So if you go in right now and you were to sell like a June 7th $15 put, and again, this is all just about knowing thyself, right? You wouldn't get a lot. You would put up 1500 of collateral. You would put in 1500 in a brokerage account, and if it's in Fidelity, right, you'd earn 5% APY because the cash underlying is in a money market fund, but it's locked up. You can't take that out, right, until you either buy the put back because you've sold it and then you can get out of it, or you let it expire worthless. So I would sell the put. I would get $97 in my pocket, and then I would also have that 1500 underlying. So long as GameStop is above $15 by June 7th expiry, I would get my 1500 released back to me, accumulate the little bit of interest underlying with the money market fund, and get to keep the $97. So that's what I did a while back because I thought, okay, well, in the scenario that GameStop's below $15, right? Let's say it goes to 13.50 at at the close of June 7th, right? Which I don't think it will. But if it's at 13.15 at the close on June 7th, they take that $1,500 and I purchase shares at 15 those 1,500 shares, those 100 shares at a $15 price point. That's what would happen, right? So essentially what an option is, it's a predetermined transaction, right? It's like you're buying or selling the right to acquire shares at a certain price point. But and as you can tell from talking about it, I'm not an options expert. I definitely understand like the functionality of them and the purpose of them. But speaking on them, I got to keep working on that, as you can see there. So it's all about knowing thyself. It really is. So, if you're a gambler and you want to take a chance, listen, you could play some calls. Look at the call options for this week now. Look how many have been written. It only goes up to 54 on here, or 55. But I've seen, oh, look at this. There's another page. Oh, it's the tickers as you can scroll. But I swear, I saw options up to like 120 something at this point, which is just crazy to think that like that's what the options are being written as. Like that's just absolutely crazy, right? And the volume on these is absolutely crazy too. So just know though, when you're buying an option expiring this Friday, right? If you were to buy tomorrow, you have tomorrow and Friday. And if you buy a $50 option, you're spending $410 for one contract for the right to buy shares at $10. So really to be even or up in the money, the price would have to be 54.10 or greater by Friday. And as we've seen with GameStop and why it's priced in like that is because of the volatility. But at the same time, like if we just have a couple sideways days, a lot of people who are buying contracts get burned, right? But then again, there are a lot of contracts in the money now, right in here, right, that were pre-written and maybe a lot of people were buying over these past couple weeks. So that could come into play for next week, and that's where Gamma comes into play, and this a whole bunch of conversations that can come out of that. But see at the very close here, about 35.71, right? And then what do we close the day at? At 39.55. So, and where are we? 35.71. So, down a few bucks, but listen, This morning we were at $60 in the pre-market, and the day before we saw what happened in the pre-market, right? Right here. And I don't think this was, oh yeah, just a bunch of individuals were choosing to buy at this particular time frame, right? Just this particular 30-minute span where the price went from 50 all the way up to 78, and it peaked at literally nearly exactly 80, right? And that kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. Nearly exactly, is it exactly 80? Look, it's like right on the line, right? Because the line is 80. It's literally like exactly 80 where it double topped out. So think what you will of that, but I just don't think this is just people all buying in this particular one time frame, right? So that's where I think there's a lot of institutional trades going on and a lot of dark pool trades, because you also have to realize there's off exchange trades where essentially, right, if I go buy a stock, it's executed through a public exchange, right? And the market maker executes it. And if there's a situation though where someone's heavily shorting it, they short 1 million shares of GameStop, and someone has to loan them those shares, they don't have to do it in the public market if they're very large institutions. They can basically do like dark pool trades where it's essentially off exchange negotiated trades where it shows up eventually, right? In the reporting, but very shadily. But it's like predetermined. It's not actually like just trading in like within the open market. So it's all, it goes very deep, right? It goes very deep, and I feel bad. I feel like for some reason I'm off right now. Maybe it's because I'm sweating. The sweatshirt's got me warm. I'm trying to rock the GameStop sweatshirt, but those of you that watch my streams know, like, there's some days, like, I don't know, all of a sudden, like, I just forgot how to speak English or something. But really, damn, 82 of you guys here right now. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys are learning a thing or two or getting some perspective as to what's going on. And listen, for those of you that are new here, I am not in the business of telling anybody what to do. I want to be perfectly clear. Do what's best for you. Do what's best for you as an individual. I will stick by that. It's all about knowing thyself. You have to know yourself and where you're at and what you want to do as an individual. Gotta remember to breathe sometime. I gotta have a sip of water in a second, but not putting too much emphasis on his tweets. But the big question for me is why now? Yeah, Ryan, that's a great point. And for me, I think part of it is maybe he's buying more right now. You know, there's some speculation of he had some kind of gag order that was finally lifted, or he just was like, you know what, I'm mentally ready to get back out there in some shape or form, right? And I know there was speculation today that he was going to stream, but I just feel like doing what he used to do. And let me be clear, I would love to see Roaring Kitty stream again and just hear his perspective about markets and just things in general, right? Like, I truly believe he's an intelligent guy, like, even beyond GameStop. Like, he just had good perspective on markets. But I just feel like the risk for him to start again is very, very high, right? Like, I just feel like, as I said before, the process is the punishment. Like, even if he gets hit with bullshit lawsuits, they're just gonna drag his name through the mud in the media. He's just gonna, like, he has a family, he has his own life, right? Like, does he really want all that and to go through all that and deal with lawyers and this and that? And I just honestly feel like that's what might come if he gets back involved in streaming. And I just want to be clear, I want him to stream. I think that would be awesome. But I'm just looking at it like, if it were me, if I was the Roaring Kitty, like, that's probably how I would be thinking, right? So yeah, maybe. Damn, chat is taking a long time to update here, but really, no, I appreciate all you guys being here for real. Just get a quick sip of water. Gotta remember to breathe sometimes too. You know, sometimes I'm like, blah, 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 blah. It's literally already been an hour. It's crazy. But just read through the articles on Yahoo Finance. Just read through them and think, does there really merit to these arguments that are taking place? Like, I get it. There's definitely FOMO right now going on. You have influencers like Andrew Tate, Dave Portnoy. Who else have I seen out there? Even like John Cena had like a tweet about it or something. So you have big names talking about it, right? And you have just these large X accounts, even like the Greg 69432155, whatever he's even tweeting about it. So obviously that's gonna bring just a lot of attention to it and a lot of FOMO. But for anyone that's really paying attention day to day and been paying attention through the quote dark times or just these down times here, where we're just this is essentially just moving sideways within here, has been reading and understanding just more and more of what's going on and just learning more and more and just becoming stronger and stronger as individuals. And I feel like that's part of the reason a lot of people now are like, okay, well, this party's just getting started. And again, that's just what I think. That's just what I think. But it's a lot of shares. Nice. Yeah. Leap Theory, I believe. 1,455 at 1807. Vonnie, I think that's very valid. Thank you for being here. That's a fantastic average, honestly. 1807 is incredible. But listen, everyone has their own goals, right? Just stick to your own goals. Like try your best despite any emotion, like positive or negative. You have all the haters, the Dan Olsons of the world. You have the negative mainstream media talking about it, right? Obviously, you're gonna get there's emotions about that, but there's also like hype emotions about like Roaring Kitty tweeting. You got to try and like step back from it all and go like, okay, where am I at? What am I thinking? Why am I where I'm at right now? What am I looking towards? What would make me change my thesis, right? And I think over time, and someone was just saying this in a space I was in yesterday, the past couple of years, there's been tons of bears that have come along in the dark times, like, GameStop's falling, ha ha ha, see, see, see. And they would try and poke holes in the thesis of what's going on with the company and why there's no potential in the long term. And ultimately, every bear thesis I thought, you know what? No, I don't think so. I think there's something going on underlying with this stock based on my research. And on top of it, the company has structured themselves at this point to turn a profit. And I know it's not big and flashy right now, and top line revenue fell year over year, but they're in a position where they're not going to have to issue debt like AMC is. They're able to take chances to try new things. Like people say, oh, well, look how GameStop player worked out. Okay, it's trial and error. It's a turnaround play. I think anybody that's invested in it and been dollar cost averaging for a long time understands this was not going to be an overnight type of thing. And there was going to be a point like this at some point or another, right? Randomly, what is it, second week of May we're in right now? Yeah, second or third week of May we're in. Boom, out of nowhere. Why this time? I don't know. I literally like don't like zooming out, right? Like I would have never said like, oh, this is going to be the time. But I knew at some point or another, like I truly did believe this, right? And you don't have to believe that I'm saying this, but I really believe that at some point or another, like we're gonna see this type of thing happen again. And who knows? Maybe it's gonna die off again, and then 6 months later, we're gonna be back where we were today. So you never truly know. That's what I'm saying. There's so many different factors at play right now. So just calling it as I see it, just documenting as I go. Something has to be done to stop the holds. GME was halted 7 times today. Price went down on every halt. Sub is the boss. Thanks for being here. And yeah, no, great point about the halts. The thing is, they're lulled halts, right? Or limit up, limit down. That's what it stands. LULD. So they're predetermined, right? And when you read about them, it's based upon like price movements, the historical price of the stock, or the average price movements of the stock over the X amount of days, right? 90 days or something like that. So it is like a valid thing in the sense it is predetermined, right? And it's based on data. However, where I see like, this is weird, and you just look at a chart like like on Monday, and just look at how choppy this was and how strange, right? And if we make it a 1 minute chart and we go to that point, right? If you look at the candles, you can see like how many missing there are, or just like read the bottom here from 33, 35, from 35 to 40, from 40 to 41, 42, 47. So it's very choppy, right? So it is predetermined based on data. However, if you're a market maker, you can very much influence the asks and the bid orders. So if there's a lot of asks, right? Constantly an ask, like there's like, to use very simple numbers, there's someone willing to buy a share at 31, there's someone willing to buy a share at 31.02, there's someone else willing to buy a share at 32.02, or sorry, 31.02, 31.03, and so on, right? And obviously more than one share. So there's different blocks, like, and that's when you look at like level 2 data. If all of a sudden the asks, right, there's a lot of people buying, and all the ask orders are just poof, gone, or just moved up to like 35, that's how you get a candle like this, right? Where it just makes a massive jump. And then that massive jump triggers an automated halt because the price makes a very dramatic movement, because then the market bids take in, or market orders come in. And when you place a market order, you're buying at the ask. And when you place a limit order, it's the bid. It's limited. Like if you're selling, right? Like it would be a sell order higher on the ask. But if you place a market order, you're just buying the current ask. So that's where I think some of the shady stuff goes on. And then when it's halted, maybe there's some time to regroup, move something in some shape or form, right? And then that's where we get really into the weed of things and outside of my particular understanding. But the halts, I would agree, are like annoying and seem very peculiar in terms of some of the stuff that happens after. And it's like anytime momentum starts, they can they can come in, and then also could just kind of drive it down with them. But at the same time, it is technically like predetermined, right? It is based off of like percentages. Like I wish I had the exact thing. I don't know if any of you have like the link for it, but it is based off of previous data of how the stock is traded in the past like X amount of time, right? I think, like I said, I think it's maybe 90 days or something like that. But it really has to do with the order books, the bids and the asks. That's really what it comes down to. So the leap theory seems so speculative, no actual confirmed dates or evidence at all. Not selling Kings seen 100K. Not selling Kings seen 100K May 14th. Fuck them. Vonnie, yeah, listen, everyone's in it for those reasons, man. But I think definitely there's a collective general consensus of just a lot of shady things that go on. And look at 2008 and look at just historically how many times average people have just been screwed over by Wall Street in some shape or form, right? Whether it be Bernie Madoff, 2008, many other just specific examples. And you look at private equity, and there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on with that. And I work at a job where I see some of it a little bit, right? Like we're passive when what we do, so we just like facilitate stuff. But I've seen it where someone moves a retirement account to us and purchases private equity, right? It's called like self-directed IRAs. So with a self-directed IRA, you could purchase like private equity. And sometimes I'm like, do you really know like what this company's doing with your capital though? And then we do deal with situations where there's bankruptcies and someone will move they'll liquidate their like Fidelity IRA, transfer like 100,000, buy this private equity that's telling them like, oh yeah, like we that private equity that does real estate, and we'll be like, oh yeah, like we guarantee like a 16% return every year. And it's like, well, how do you do that? That's a very, very aggressive return. And then they get payouts for like a couple of years, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. And maybe they only got like a few grand worth of payouts, and they put 100,000 in it, and then it's going through all these bankruptcy filings, and it's this and that. But point is, there's just so many times average people have been screwed over, and even in the inflation readings, right? Like we just had an inflation reading today. It's like, oh yeah, inflation cooled off, right? And I've barely even been. I try and keep up with economics and everything, but right now with the way GameStop's been going, it's been so hard to be honest with you. But seeing CPI data today, it's like, oh, CPI cooled off. Well, did you know they just took out coffee recently? Every time something starts going up and impacting CPI, oh, no, 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 we're not going to account for that anymore. If you look at how CPI was calculated 20, 30 years ago versus now, the inflation reading would be much, much higher than 3 point whatever percent it was today. So that's just another reason or another aspect of just average people being screwed over right now. And when you look at what prices have gone up year over year for like housing and just goods and things people actually use, right? Not necessarily what the general CPI is calculated as. It's not what it like it's so much worse than it seems like on paper. That's my perspective at least. Just even seeing like eggs go from like $3 by me to like 450 year over year. I'm like, what the fuck? Like that's crazy, right? And you're like, oh, it's only eggs, right? No, but it's just like across the board that's happening. And as a younger individual, I can tell you, I don't know like anybody moving out of their parents' house. Like everyone's like, yeah, well, it's gonna be like impossible to live. And then if I do, how am I gonna invest or save or accumulate? I'm just gonna get stuck renting forever. So there's just a lot of different ways like average people are really being screwed over. And I think, that is part of where some people are involved in it, right? Or that's where like the interest in GameStop comes from. But it's again, it's more than that. But that is, I would definitely say, like an aspect of it where so many people are constantly being screwed by what's going on. And you also have to think if the CPI is at a lower reading, right? That means, oh, well, inflation isn't as bad. So let's cut interest rates. That just hurts people more, right? That, oh, it's overstimulate the economy more. Let's have more money flood into the mega caps, right? Look how top heavy the S&P 500 is right now. And who's making the most money, right, on that? The large institutions. And again, this is all just very generally speaking. It's much more complex than that. It's not just like black and white, right? Or plain and simple, but crazy. Absolute craziness out there, that's for sure. So it does seem so the 39-month thing, less up. I don't know where that is from. I feel like I need to swing to grow the number of shares. Don't have a lot to keep investing. Economy's rough. Listen, Sven, I encourage you if, like you said, the economy is rough. Like I was just saying, don't just think, I need shares. I need shares. Like if you're good where you're at, it's all good. If you think, okay, well, I'm going to eat out once, like I was buying lunch a lot at work when I first started. Now I'm like, no, I like refuse to eat out. I would rather put the money into GameStop or Bitcoin or whatever it may be, right? I would rather invest the money. So yeah, I would work it out, right? And I'm trying to budget more and more. So I look at it, I'm like, okay, well, I spent $200 less this month than I did last month. What should I do with that $200 now? And then you have to make that determination of what's best for you. Slowly do it, Sven. Took me 3 years. Exactly, Vonnie. That's the way. Slow and steady wins the race. It's really true. It sounds corny, but it's true. Tomorrow, price prediction for GME. Tatve, thanks for being here. Honestly, I think we see a bounce back day, but let me be clear. Do not blindly follow me. Do not blindly make any kind of trade on what I'm saying. I don't know. I truly don't know what we'll see tomorrow. No matter what happens tomorrow, I'm still going to be holding. I'll put it to you that way. But I do feel like seeing a little bit of momentum later in the day and the way it held up throughout the beginning of the day, that we're going to see a green day. I think we're going to see a lot of volatility. But I'm going to say that we see a slightly green day overall. Maybe net up 10%, right? That could be my prediction, right? But again, take that with a grain of salt. And even if it is finishes up 10%, right? I think it's going to be like woo, 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 throughout the day, right? Or we'll see something like this, or we'll see something like this, right? You can just see how dramatic it can move at one point or another. So we'll see on that. And then definitely the end of the week will be very impactful, like when the market closes Friday, in terms of how many options are in the money. And then that would, I feel like, give us a better idea of what the beginning of next week may look like in terms of how things are going. Sven, yeah, thinking of only using 10% of shares to swing. Sven, listen, it's all what's best for you, man. It's all about what's best for you. Okay, why is the chat not going? Damn, chat is popping off. Thank you guys for being here, for real. It's really so awesome to see so many people here. Much appreciated. See ya, JPP Investments. Shares for me as well. I'm definitely not a trader. I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. I've been buying GME since 2021, 1,500 shares, averaging 23. Nice. Yeah, listen, everyone, I think that's an investor or been following this for a long time has been just consistently accumulating shares. You think GME will get back up above 49? Ellie, thanks again for being here. I think it's very possible by the end of the week. I think that's a reasonable number. But again, there's so much to be seen, but I think it's certainly possible. Do we smash that like button 3 times? Show Tetron some love. Patrick, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. I've also learned that concentrated diversity is for me, but not for everyone. Everyone has to do what they're comfortable with. Exactly. Listen, man, JPP, I always appreciate you being here, man. You're a long-time follower of the channel, so much appreciated. It's all about knowing thyself. We're not worried about that. We believe we'll go really high to the moon high. Options are a bit hard from Europe and risk too high for me. Yeah, exactly, Sven. Like, I feel like people are tempted to buy options right now. And listen, everyone's got a different appetite in terms of options, but you got to understand if you're buying options right now, you're buying with extremely high IV, right? Like, look at the implied volatility for the ones later this week. Like, this is insane. And look at any other stock and their option chain and what the implied volatility is. So it's basically accounting for the fact that it's extremely volatile. So that means it's basically pricing the options extremely high. So if you buy a call and then the price goes up a lot and volatility goes up a lot, that is like literally the most absolute best case scenario. But if you buy a call, volatility goes down and the stock price goes up, you might not even necessarily make money. Obviously, it depends on the option and the specific scenario, but that's just something to think about in terms of IV. GME hit $64 after hours today per Nasdaq. Interesting, Subhas. That's very interesting. I wonder if it's one of those like strange candles where it's like whoop whoop right back down maybe. So 80-12 or something like that. Yeah, exactly in the pre-market. JPB Stanley Drunken Miller, your man, is into concentrated bet style diversity. Interesting. I'll have to check him out. I've never heard of him. How are you doing, Tetron? Been a minute since I saw one of your streams. David, thanks for being here, man. I'm pretty good. Man. I've just been, documenting the journey. Just keep trying to better myself. Just do the little things right. Whether it's investing or just my day-to-day life, just trying to do the better things right. Little things right. Just trying to be a little healthier. Just make better decisions and just keep grinding and not get caught up in like I wish I just had a lot of money right now, or I just wish I had it all figured out, right? Like especially as a young individual, it's easy to get caught in mindsets like that. But I'm like, no, I'm just gonna go for a walk, reset, mental reset, like put my phone down. And sometimes I've had to do that this week, right? I've been on Twitter so much, just tweeting about what's going on and just having fun. But then I'm like, all right, like I need to go touch some grass. So I've just been trying to like be more focused on myself too and like how I'm feeling and just like knowing thyself. Like as I'm talking about knowing thyself, like even beyond just money and finance and economics, just knowing like okay, like sometimes I need a breather. Sometimes I need to put all technology down, just go for a walk, even just go sit out in my yard for a little bit and just do some thinking. Sometimes about finance, sometimes okay, I'm just going to think about something else random, right? Or just watch some clips on hockey, right? Cuz I'm a big hockey fan, so I'll just watch like biggest hits of all time, best hockey fights of all time, best goal scorers of all time, right? Whatever it may be. So buckle up. Theron, thanks for being here. GME, GBB, thanks for being here. Jimmy, 82 here, night 29 nights. Let's get touch on more likes for this vid. Hey, Patrick, appreciate you pumping my tires, man. Thank you very much. He's a great guy. Yes, sir. Love the stream. Unfortunately, got to run. All good, man. All good. Listen, anytime you guys could be here, I really, really do appreciate it. I don't ever expect like everyone to always be here, like every single stream, every single minute. Anytime you engage or are here in general, like I'm so appreciative of that. And if you guys aren't already, follow me on X/Twitter. You know, always tweeting out updates on here, whether it's about GameStop or when I'm doing my live stream. So definitely keep an eye on that. Sorry, new to your channel, but out of curiosity, GME and AMC basically have the same chart. So as long as GME still has upside, would you say AMC is the same? Drago, thanks for being here. Listen, that's a fair question. I know I've ripped on AMC and I'm going to a little bit here, but the thing is, yes, maybe you can make some money trading with it in the short term. Like if you're day trading, maybe trading overnight. But when you zoom out and look at AMC or compare it to GameStop, GameStop significantly outperformed. And the fact of the matter is, AMC just dilutes. Anytime the price goes up a lot, literally, we saw it yesterday, they take the opportunity to dilute their shareholders. And that's because management just stuffs their pockets, they overcompensate themselves. And yes, the company isn't making money, but they maybe could turn around if the executives weren't so highly paid and they did some cost cutting efforts like GameStop. So they're still losing money, so they still have to keep taking on debt. So when you're losing money, you have two options to raise capital. You either issue shares or you issue debt. And they already have a lot of debt outstanding and they have debt payments coming up, so that's why they had to issue shares. And then also 2026, they're going to have a ton of debt payments coming up. I think it's a little over like 2 billion or something like that, that in debt that's going to mature that they're going to owe on. So what are they going to do? They're going to sell more shares, right? And meanwhile, the executives are going to keep being compensated. Look at Adam Aron's compensation these last few years, and then look at the stock price and tell me if you think that's fair. But also, yeah, just where you can see that, right? If you compare, look at the 6-month performance of AMC. Look at year to date versus GameStop, and let's put GameStop as a line. It makes it a little bit easier to look at. Can you make it a little bit thicker? Oh no, I guess not. But 1 year, 2 year, GameStop always outperforms relative to AMC on a long-term basis. So sure, if you're trading over the course of a couple days, yeah, maybe you could do AMC. But even then, right? If you were trading AMC yesterday, you got absolutely burned by the dilution that took place. So there's that aspect of it as well. And then even look, if you bought AMC and GameStop exactly 5 years ago today, you'd be up 1,700 on GameStop percent. AMC, you'd be down 95%. Like, look how much they diluted. It's absolutely insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. I'm literally tripping over my words. That's how crazy it is. But zoom out on AMC and you realize it's diluted being down. Exactly. Want to see it keep running, but don't see enough attention to catalyst in the short term to stop the bleeding. Adam, thanks for being here. No, listen, that's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. But you know, there's another earnings report coming up for GameStop. It's crazy. I almost forgot about that. Time flies. But it's about 3 or 4 weeks away, so that's an aspect of it. But also, you know, the options chain and people still talking about it right now. It is still fresh. So I feel like there's some people that are potentially going to be buying the dip right now, maybe some big buyers. And also there's just a lot more at play that we won't be able to see. And we'll get like, for example, like institutional filings, like 13F filings of any institution that's purchasing shares throughout this week, like a month or two from now. So it's always on delay. So that there's like that aspect of it as well. I know it's inventory now, but I don't see the week charts are basically identical. But yeah, again, I already kind of went through that. But Roaring Kitty's counting down to something. Tweets have gone from every hour to every 30 minutes to every 15 minutes. And if it's 10 minutes tomorrow, it's clear. Onion Ring, thanks for being here. Hey, listen, yeah, that's a very valid point. His tweets have changed in that sense. I mean, he's tweeted so. Did we get a? Oh, look at this. What do we get here? Whoa. Okay, so I'll let you guys watch that for yourself. But he did tweet 47 minutes ago. So he's been doing one tweet a night, and this one's at 8 p.m. They seem to consistently be at 8 p.m. So again, you can think what you want on the tweets. I try and take them with a grain of salt and just focus on the bigger picture. But at the same time, I think it's very exciting and it's just very entertaining, right? And it's all for me, like as someone who's been in this a long time and I can stomach this volatility, it's truly just a fun time right now. Like I'm just enjoying the ride, and I know what I have and why I believe in it, and that's just me, and I'll hang on to it as long as I need to. Uh, when were the tweets every hour? Summer, I think it was on Monday. They're pushing us back down to 10. Liquid Swords, thanks for being here, but I don't think so. I mean, listen, it's possible, but if that happens, I'm absolutely going to buy more. And that's just me personally. Everyone else will make their own determination, but I feel like, generally speaking, a lot of people will be buying at $10, but we'll have to see. Maybe even some institutions. I saw a 30-minute and then next day 15-minute. Yeah, exactly. Good point, Summer, because I think there wasn't, unless he did it on Monday, right? Because today was every 15 minutes and it was 30 minutes. Yeah, I don't think he did every hour. Let's just look right now, real quick. So many. Oh my gosh. So many. So many. So yesterday, right, was this 12 o'clock. And then right here, 11:30. And you also have to think, like, this guy's been taking so much time to, like, put all these together. Oh, okay, yeah. So he just had the one at 11 a.m. And then 11:30. Oh, yeah. So he had the one. What was this? May 12th. Sorry, I'm getting my days mixed up at this point. It's been a crazy week. Of course, work is busy this week too. Every time GameStop has a lot of action and I want to do the most talking about it as possible, for some reason my job is just coincidentally busy, which is very frustrating. So yeah, it was every 30 minutes it looks like, because May 13th was Monday. So that's 12:30. And then wait, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30. So yeah, it was every 30 minutes and then it's every 15 minutes. So 2 days in a row of 30 minutes. Today was 15 minutes. They just feel like making more memes. I don't know. I'll leave that for you guys to determine. But I believe they're linked. They might have similar results. So many grade A posts too. Interesting observation. X would not let me go back to Mondays. Anyone else? Does that not mean? Does that not mean you get a ticket from OS though? It's been diluted one twice. AMC has taught me to swing trade everything. Liquid, hey, listen, if you're making money on it, I'm absolutely happy for you. Everyone's got their own perspective, right? Like I always say, there's traders and there's investors. If you're getting in and out of stuff, you're a trader. If you're just buying and holding, you're an investor. That's how I see it. One looks like a dead cat pounce. One looks like it nearly tested all-time highs. Make no sense to see an identical chart on the weekly. I don't diamond hand. Hey, that's all right. Everyone's got to do their own thing, right? Let's see. Oh my god, chat's going too fast. I'm trying to read everything, but the Roaring Kitty tweet, the Roaring Kitty memes have been a juicer. Windfall, thanks for being here, man. Hey, I love your username, Windfall. That's what it may look like at some point or another for GameStop, right? A huge windfall of capital coming in, or cash for people that make a lot of money. But hey, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, the tweets have just been juicers, as you put it. So definitely a good time. GME wants to hold 51 plus at the close on a Friday, but needs to hold 40 plus. Anthony, thanks for being here. Appreciate you popping in, man. Always good to see you. Can't hold anything when they are shorting it to death. Liquid Swords. Yeah, listen, I get that, but at the same time, I think at some point or another, something will break. And I see it as, so long as the company is driving forward towards success, and I was saying before how, yes, they're not widely profitable right now, and yes, revenue fell year over year, they've significantly improved on the bottom line. Their balance sheet's in good shape. Their costs have been cut dramatically in terms of SG&A. So with all, and I think, by the way, SG&A costs are going to be even lower, because if you weren't aware, they closed down a warehouse in this quarter, right? Q1 that just passed, that's to be reported. So pretty much at this point, all operations or all product shipment is coming out of the Texas warehouse. So they've completely consolidated to one place. So that's another aspect of it. And again, while they're not doing anything flashy this particular time, CandyCon's a start. I would really like to see them do more private label brands. There's some articles that were floating around about them buying and selling trading cards, right? Like I was using this example the other day. Got an Aaron Judge trading card. I bought it for 36 back in 2020. See, I'm a buy and hold kind of guy. I had this posted on there. Aaron Judge. I saw the price and I was like, this guy's really good as a rookie card. Like, it's probably gonna be worth more. I'm not sure it's worth it exactly this given point in time, but I know when trading cards are like a hot thing out of nowhere in like late 2021, it was worth like a few hundred. But let's say right now, market value for this is like 200. I could bring this to GameStop, sell it to them for 150, and then maybe they turn it around and sell it for 225, and they can make money like that. It's good for me because I can make a quick buck. It's good for them because they can flip it and make a profit on it, right? So that's something they're potentially getting into. And I know, people shit on like, oh, GameStop player didn't work out. Look how that worked out, right? One, we don't know for sure it's entirely gone, but at the same time, it's trial and error. They didn't lose a ton of money getting into that. So it's the point that they've restructured to be sustainable. As long as they're continuously turning a profit, they can keep stacking cash on the balance sheet and then determine what they want to do with that cash. And they can execute on shareholder value, whether it's share buybacks, it's dividends, or it's an acquisition of some kind, or just investing in something else they want to do, right? Such as more private label brands. They have the ability to do that. And my opinion is that whatever's going on underneath, right? However it's exactly being done, it will bubble to the surface so long as they succeed as a company. And of course, it's easier said than done. There's a lot of execution has to take place, but when you see a guy like Ryan Cohen, who's not sold a single share, he's chairman and CEO. He's had other executives, and people also say like, "Oh, look, these other executives left," but they didn't replace them. So the people running the company, they have a very tight knit group, and I would rather that than just a bunch of people all like, oh yeah, like do this and do that. It's like, yes, those people that are still there are going to have to work harder, but I would rather them be compensated more and be harder workers and more tight knit group. So with all of that, I think so long as the company succeeds, whatever's going on underneath will bubble to the surface to some time or another. Maybe it's right now, maybe it's next couple months, maybe it's the next couple years, maybe it's longer than that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm just going to keep riding the waves because I like the stock. I believe in what they're doing and just this story, right? And I'm going on a complete tangent here, but the point is, so long as the company succeeds, you can't suppress it forever in terms of betting against it. So, and at the very least, we're going to see these crazy price cycles. So, at what point does the cycle just become the biggest one yet, right? And then, yeah, well, obviously we'll have to see how it plays out. So, I'm just, like I said, I'm just documenting the journey. So, you can like and subscribe and follow along with me. So, who's still holding GME? GME? DJ. I would be one of the people that is still holding GME. Thanks for being here. Oilers versus Canucks series is wild, especially for a Canadian. Ryan, yes sir. I'm glad you brought that up. It has been crazy. I watched it. I watched it last night. Canucks tie it with like a minute and change left, or maybe 2 minutes. Oilers score 60 seconds later to win. Absolutely crazy. That's been a crazy series, and I can't believe how the Colorado series. It looks like tonight. Like I haven't checked the score yet, and they already started the first period, but Dallas is up in the series 3-1, and they just look so dominant last game I watched. So it seems like they're moving on, but honestly, I want the Oilers to win that series, and I honestly want the Oilers to win it all because one, a Canadian team hasn't won in so long, so that'd be kind of cool to see. Even as an American, I'll say that. But also McDavid and Draisaitl, those guys they deserve a cup, man. They absolutely deserve a Stanley Cup. So definitely an exciting series. Though. I love hockey. Jimmy at 31 right now, negative 23%. Anthony, listen, hey, that's just the way she goes sometimes. It's all right. It's going to be a volatile time, and I'm all right with that. That's great to hear about all your progress. I remember when you first started this channel, you have grown a lot, man. Happy for you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, David. Thank you. I'm really trying to grow as an individual. I appreciate you saying that. And I know, there's been days I had streams in the beginning where I'm like literally just choking on my words or just my brain's moving faster than my mouth, and I feel like I'm making no sense. So I really appreciate you sticking with me throughout this whole journey. It's been awesome. Have you heard of the Faraday Future Intelligence Electric stock? Please give it a quick Google and look at the candlesticks. It's just like GMC. I think you meant GMA, but Faraday Future? All right. I'll give it to you. Let's see. Faraday Future. Let's see. Interesting. We have a huge volume stick here, but it looks like they've done a ton of reverse splits, right? That would be my automatic assumption looking here. And these moves look dramatic previously, but if they've done reverse splits, not as much. But let's see, like today. So it is interesting that it's running around the same time, right? These past 2 days, what does it go from 4 cents up to 90 cents? Listen, honestly, I don't know anything about them, so I'm thinking it's just a penny stock type of thing. And with penny stocks, you got to be very, very careful because over-the-counter stocks, very, very suspicious things going on with it. That's for sure. 40 gets you 260K plus in options in the money, but 30 still gets them all in the money. I'm here for every stream. Respect. Anthony, yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. You're the best, man. You're awesome. I just want you to know that. I'm about to become one of your biggest X followers. Hey, David, that's awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thumbs up and subscribe. Why too? Yo, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And that's what's awesome in times like this, right? There are people coming back to the channel, and I'm not like, oh, you haven't been here the whole time or something like that. I'm like, no, there's a lot of silent holders, or people have just very zen, like, all right, I have my position, I'm gonna buy here and there, or I have a position that I want. and I'll just keep riding the waves. And then I know where this happens. Like, all right, let me get active and see what's going on here, right? And that's totally fine. Everyone has their own cup of tea, right? Some people like a green tea. Some people like a raspberry tea. You got to sip your own cup, man. It's really that simple. Like, some people are more passive. Some people are more active in their investing. And I would say, I guess I'm a little both, right? Because I just buy and hold. I'm just that's my general style investing, right? Like I do that with Bitcoin too, and S&P. So I just buy and hold, right? I'm an investor, but at the same time, like I like actively following what's going on and talking about things. But there's a lot of people I know that they just buy the S&P, some institutional funds, maybe one or two stocks they like, and then they just check it like every couple months or so. So that's all right. Like I said, you got to have your own cup of tea. AMC is joke dilution time. Exactly, liquid. Every time it spikes up, I'm almost tempted to buy a put. I'm not gonna lie, or short it. But at the same time, it makes irrational moves in the short term. And I don't know. I don't have shorting enabled on any of my brokerage accounts. So I'm like, I'm not gonna bother with that. But is it possible that his account was hacked so media can have an excuse to blame him for the price action? Be more, invest better. Thank you for being here. I think that's a valid question, right? Honestly, I really don't. I feel like if his account was hacked, there would be different narratives that would be pushed. And if it is, right, I'll say this. If it is in fact hacked, it would be very, very well done, very, very well disguised, right? So I personally don't think so, just given the type of stuff that's been put out. And I just feel like it's in line of like how he was. Like he was a big meme guy, and like remember he was like, "Oh, shake the magic 8 ball," and it's so funny seeing Portnoy always post a clip now of like when he's like, "I'm like Davey Day Trader" or something like that, and Portnoy like, "Look, he said my name. He said my name," right? So honestly, I really don't think so. I really don't think that's the case. Obviously, we can't know for sure, but I also feel like if it was, he would come out in some shape or form and say like, "This is not me," unless there's a really extreme scenario where he has some kind of gag order and he can't even do that, and he wouldn't even do that if he was hacked, right? Which I don't think that would be the case though. But Tetron, what is the chance that this started because of a coordinated attack on a weak financial entity, say UBS, using the Roaring Kitty tweet as cover? Randy, thanks for being here. Yeah, kind of building off what I was just saying. It's nothing's ever impossible, right? And there's so much we don't know just in stock markets in general. And then obviously, like he's not literally saying anything; he's just making memes, but it just seems like it'd be too perfectly coordinated for it to be something like that. Like I feel like if it would smell a little stinky. You know what I mean? Like if the tweets were a certain type of way, like if the tweets were a certain type of way, it would smell a little stinky, and I feel like people would be speculating it was hacked. Although I guess people are speculating now, right? But it's not entirely possible, right? I'm not gonna say like there's no possible way, but I just really don't think so. Like just given his like past stuff and the way he was and the nature of things, like I just don't think that's the case. But can't rule it out entirely, I suppose. Randy's smoking some good stuff. Hey, Randy, give me some, man. No, I'm just kidding. But Adam Aaron is Pilgrim. Yeah, he's a fraud, man. He's a fraud. He's an Adam Clown. But let's fucking go. 420 bonks, Mo. Speaking of smoking, thanks for being here, man. Hope you're smoking one up today. No, I'm just kidding. But thanks for being here. Yo, you're always my indicator. Drink water, man. Drink water. And do you remember this when I accidentally was streaming that one time a long time ago? And I was just chilling, and I remember you commented. You're like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And like, I was on the phone with a friend, and I didn't realize I had accidentally like restarted the stream, and you were like one of three people there. So, cheers. Seems every kitty post the stock drops 5%. Anthony, thanks for being here. I mean, kind of, but at the same time, listen, it's just a very volatile time for the stock. So, it's gonna move up, down, left, right, sideways, and at the end of the day, I always think of Matthew McConaughey in The Wolf of Wall Street. It's fugazi, it's a wazi, it's woozy, it's a it's not even real. Right? That's really what the price action is. But I don't have X. Sven, that's all good, man. No worries at all. Thanks for being here. Oh my god, I can't even keep up with the chat. You guys are awesome today. See? Oh my goodness. Alright, I'm gonna skip ahead. Skip ahead. All right, DFE meme later. Post your position now. All due respect, possible. I've seen the Plain Bagel vid on what happened with GameStop. I have not. I actually it just popped up in my feed before this 420 bonk smoke, but I did not see it yet. So Tetron to expose naked short GM at the market open, offering to raise 1 billion, immediately followed by $3 per share dividend to distribute the money back to shareholders of record. I don't know about that, Randy. Honestly, I don't know. Listen, I've thought and debated with some people on here too about the idea of whether a dividend or share buybacks better, but I think for right now, honestly neither. And that I feel like is a very aggressive move. And on top of it, I feel like just given all the attention on GameStop, they would come under a lot of regulatory scrutiny with that, and anything they can do, right, that would bring regulatory scrutiny where they have to get lawyers involved becomes a very expensive process, and I think they just want to avoid that as a whole. And that's also why I think they got out of GameStop Wallet. And there's a lot of other platforms right now, right? Like there's a random one I think of, um, a couple I saw recently that like okay, we're done. They're like bigger names, right? Like SIBO, like SBO or CBOE had some kind of crypto stuff, and they're like winding that down. A lot of these other platforms, right, like large platforms, have got out of crypto because of all the regulatory scrutiny around it. Like they just don't want to be bothered with lawsuits, and I think that's why GameStop removed the GameStop wallet because you had the ability to transact cryptocurrency within there, and I feel like they were just like, okay, well, we could be attacked, especially given all the attention on us. So let's just get out of it. So that's my perspective on that, at least a little bit. But Ryan Song Build a Bear. Oh yeah, so I know I saw a while back. It was like the Build a Bear. Like when you search up Build a Bear in Google, I swear it had the like I have a screenshot of it somewhere, but it had like the GameStop logo. But then I looked on a different browser and I didn't see that. So I don't think that's anything, right? But it's just so strange some of the things that pop up sometimes. So I legit just rewatched all of DFV live videos. I think he spent the last 3 years watching the charts and he saw something. Hence him popping back up. Michael, thanks for being here. Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely a great comment and definitely a great possibility because why now, right? Like that's what we were talking about a little bit before. It's kind of open for debate, like why now? But I feel like he saw something. I would agree with that, right? He saw something in some shape or form as to why he wanted to tweet about it now and or add to his position at this point in time, right? But I also think from his perspective, I don't know what he's up to these days, right? Like imagine he's applying for a job because he's still like just an average guy, right? And since he has diamond balls and hasn't sold, or obviously we can't confirm that at this point, but it would appear that way, then he may still be working a job, right? But imagine like Roaring Kitty walks in and you're like, oh my God, you're the guy. Like, you're the guy. Like, imagine like him working at a job right now. Or like, I mean, I guess a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know, right? Maybe they wouldn't put it together, but I just wonder what he's up to day at this point, right? Like, the only one thing that I've seen of him like these past 3 years prior to this was someone caught a picture of him at a charity event. It was kind of at a side angle, so you couldn't confirm for sure if it was him, but it did look like him, right? It was a guy with like a red headband and a red shirt, and he was just at a charity event, and it was interesting, right? So, and then obviously, if anyone ever said like, "Oh yeah, like interacted with him," I don't think you can actually believe that because how do you know that's true, right? So, even 3 years ago, um, even 3 years ago, DFV was not great with regular chart analysis. Imagine how much better he is now 3 years later. Exactly, Michael. I've been following along for a couple of years now, and I feel like I've just gotten a lot better. I mean, not necessarily with chart analysis, but just understanding market fundamentals. But also, you have to think like everyone's in a different spot, right? Kind of was saying before. Like I'm a younger individual. Like I'm 23, about to turn 24 next month, and I feel like I've learned a lot in the market. But there's still so much more for me to learn. Like I definitely understand that. So I'm never coming on here trying to be like an expert. Like I'm trying to document my journey of just learning more and helping other people learn with me along the way. And I'm very fortunate. Like I'm very okay. I'll put it this way. I'm very experienced for someone my age in the sense I've been messing around with stocks and following stocks and crypto since I was about 16 or 17. It's really got interested in it. So all this time I've been accumulating more knowledge. I've tried all the dumb shit. I'm like, oh, maybe I could make money with forex. Oh, maybe I could make money day trading crypto. Oh, maybe I could just YOLO options, right? I've tried everything in the book, but luckily I was trying that from like 16 to 20, and I didn't have a lot of money to lose because I was just a high school kid and early college kid. So I made all my mistakes early, right? Whereas if I started right now and then 8 years elapsed, I could have lost significant money because now I do have like full time income and a job and like I'm in the real world, I guess you could say, right? So I'm very fortunate to be as experienced as I am for someone my age, but at the same time, I understand I lack experience like relative to markets as a whole and just everything as a whole. So that's why I'm just trying to like keep learning. So gotta remember to breathe sometimes, guys. It's crazy. I'm just like yapping away here, but really do. I really appreciate you guys being here. It's so awesome just hanging out, talking GameStop. Same here, still holding. I wonder if we'll start to go up again. DJ, we'll have to see. Definitely wild the Build a Bear deal. Yeah, Patrick, it's interesting, right? And if you look at Build a Bear's fundamentals, like it's not that bad, and their stock is actually done like decent. But I would say that's tinfoil. We don't know anything for sure. So because like I think it's like Google Chrome. If you look it up, like their logo is that's the German market is literally like GameStop's logo, but then when you look on a different browser, it isn't. So what does that mean? What to mean? Oh my gosh, where is it? I wouldn't even finish going through this nonsense article, but maybe we'll do that later. Build a bear. Oh, BBW. And I was looking, I'm like, oh, they're starting to go more international. That's part of what they're doing right now. They've actually had a good past 5 years, and they've done some dividends throughout. They don't have like a consistent dividend, but they've completely turned things around, right? When it looked like during the pandemic they might go down, but they've really completely turned things around. And look at us, it's actually going to a new all-time high right now. That's pretty crazy. Or not a new all-time high, like newest multi-year high, but yeah, tinfoil, but something to just keep an eye on. So, which it's always funny too. People are like, "Oh, it's tinfoil! Oh my god!" I'm like, no, like it's okay to like keep an eye on things. Like, what's wrong with that, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I'm not saying like, "Oh my god, it's happening!" Right? Like, whereas like some people out there are saying like, "Trust me, there's this crazy thing happening. Trust me." Right? I'm never gonna do that. I'm never gonna do that, guys. I promise you. You're my favorite YouTuber. Thank you, DJ. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I'm trying out here. I love making content. I really do. So I'm trying to do it more and more. So I'm posting more and more on X and YouTube because at the end of the day, I'll be honest, I do not want to work a job. I do not want to work a job the rest of my life. I know it's not going to be easy, and I know doing my own thing is probably going to be even harder than working a job. But I would rather work my ass off for myself than someone else. And that's not everyone, right? Right now, it's I'm like a entrepreneur. I want to go from a entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, and that's going to take a lot of time. But hopefully, you guys are here early on this journey, and you look back one day, you're like, damn, this guy was just yapping about GameStop on live streams. Now he's doing all this and all that, right? Look at this guy, right? So appreciate you guys being here along this ride. I really, really do. When do you guys GME will think? When do you think GME will start going up again? Why is GME down? LB, it's gonna be volatile. Crying about GME right? GME right now. Like, why is it going down? Oh my gosh, so many people in the chat. Shellac kids in the money contracts are massive for Friday. Whiskey, thanks for being here. That's exactly right. I mean, even if GameStop closed the week at 30, there's still tons of contracts that wind up in the money. If Ron Kitty was hacked and silenced, I bet you he would send a friend to report that it's not him, but he hasn't. Exactly, Danzo. Exactly. I feel like it would have got out somehow, or he would have been able to, like for example, his brother. Right? We've seen on Instagram, or I've seen people post about his Instagram. Like I don't really use Instagram, but his brother's on there, so his brother could have put that out, like a PSA or something like that. But oh my God, chat's moving too fast. Now relax, kids. In the money. Well, institutions were definitely front running selling premiums the instant he tweeted. Michael, yeah, that's a good point. Definitely going on there a little bit. Let's just get into hold. Dark Raider, hold GME. Thanks for being here. I love you all. Just hold and you'll be rewarded. Sven, I think that may be the case, but hey, I can't give financial advice, nor am I in the business to, so everyone's gonna make their own decisions. But y'all think you go back up, LB? I really do. I really do. And listen, I think for me, it's easier to say like just buy and hold because I've genuinely just been doing that for years now, right? So, like I said in the very beginning of the stream, like I was messing with options in here, and then from here on out, I've stopped with options. So I've just dollar cost average down the whole way. I'm honestly not even sure my exact average right now between multiple accounts and like computer share and like IRAs. Like I'm not sure of my average overall. So I couldn't even say to be honest, and I'm like better off. I'd rather not know to be honest with you, and that's just me personally. But when I've been buying this whole time and I've seen all these like price cycles and volatile times, it's easier for me to be like, okay, I've seen this song and dance before. Like I'm gonna relax. Like I'm gonna like. Don't get me wrong. I was fired up yesterday when I saw the pre-market trading, and I'm still fired up right now. And just talking about this, and already this week, right? Look how many shares we've had traded. 526 million. It feels like what's going on here is kind of like what we were setting up for. Like right. It feels like we're right about here, right? Obviously, it's a little bit different, but it feels like that's kind of what's going on. And I was in a Spaces call with someone yesterday. Shout out to Always Sad But Truthful. He does a lot of deep dive research. I'm sure you guys have seen him on X. And he was basically saying, like, in a general sense, it's like what was happening then is kind of happening now. And if that's the case, there was a 4-for-1 split. So it's happening like 4 times as much, right? In a very general sense. Right? And he was talking about a lot more than that. So don't entirely quote me on that. He's got a lot of information. You guys should definitely check him out. But GME's at 137 pre-split, way more than the $4 the short is needed at. Exactly. And that's what you got to remember too. People think, oh yeah, short's covered. It's like, one, I don't see any short covering volume that supports that thesis, especially when you look at the SEC report. It shows most of the buying volume was traders and gamma. It was not, in fact, shorts covering. So that's why I think short interest could be suppressed in a lot of different ways. And I know short interest could be suppressed. And when you look at the swaps, right? When you look at the swaps for Archegos, there's things called custom basket swaps. And look at what happens when Archegos went under. Paramount making a dramatic move, right? I don't look at this craziness, right? This was part of the swaps blowing up. This happened exactly when Archegos blew up. And then Discover, the same exact thing, right? What is it? Discover, Warner Bros. Discovery, same exact thing. That same exact time when it was blowing up. So maybe a firm has to blow up in some shape or form for something really really chaotic to happen with GameStop, right? Again, just speculating here, but the point is like there are things such as bullet swaps, custom basket swaps, where short interest can really be suppressed. So when you see the short, it seems like, and again, in my opinion, shorts never covered since January 2021. Obviously, maybe some did, right? But majority didn't. And then even leading up into January 2021, it was heavily being shorted. And my opinion is too that a lot of people have been shorting it this whole way down. Despite it going down, you would think, okay, well maybe now they would buy to cover, right? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And again, you could disagree. Not everyone has to agree on everything, right? But that's just how I see it. It was nothing. Don't gamble when you can't afford to lose. Exactly. No, exactly, Whiskey. Absolutely facts. Do not gamble what you cannot afford to lose. Please, like, especially if you're going to do options. Understand if you are buying an option on GameStop, just assume that money gone out the window, right? But if it works out, great. Oh, look, all this money just came in the window, right? Fantastic. That's the best way to look at it, I think, in terms of trading options. But then, in general, if you're just buying and holding for the long term, know thyself, know your own financial situation. Don't feel the pressure of like, oh, I'm gonna miss out, right? No, focus on you. Focus on what's best for you. If you know, okay, I put X amount of dollars in, I could do that, but that's like the max I could do. But I'm gonna be so stressed, and I'm then gonna have to save every other penny I have. I'm not gonna sleep at night. Don't do that. If you can stomach that, then do that, right? Like you gotta know yourself. You really gotta know yourself. Please don't gamble. Yeah. If GME pushes over 100, would you be upset if Ryan Cohen dilutes to 5 or 10 million? It would create a good bit of money. If it breaks the all-time high, it could get crazy. David, that's a great question. It's funny you say that because I swear I thought about that today. And let me answer that in a second. Drink water, guys. Staying hydrate's important. I saw a thing once. I don't remember where I saw it, but and then I'm gonna answer your question. That the most common answer if they ask people who live to 100, like why they thought they lived to 100, it was like they drank water, they stayed hydrated, or I don't know, or maybe some kind of study. I don't know, but either way, drinking water is so important. But the question is, if GME pushes over 100, and I might as well, why don't I just pull up the chat at this point? You would think I would have did that right now, right? How do I pop this out? Pop out chat. Boom. Okay. So, oh my goodness, bear with me, guys. Yo, you guys know the Lightning Warrior? He's got some sick music. Maybe I gotta get something like that going on here for the background. Okay, so where are you? If Jamie pushes over 100, would you be upset if Ryan Cohen dilutes by 5 or 10 million? It would create a good bit of money, but if it breaks an all-time high, it could get crazy. David, it's a great question. So I thought about it today, and I thought, if GameStop does it right, the media will say, oh, horrible, oh my god, issue shares killed the rally. But if AMC does it, oh, look, great, they're paying off their debt, they're saving the company. But if it was at a point where he did it, and the company decides to do it above, like, the previous all-time high, and it's a relatively small amount, I'm not totally opposed to the idea. Maybe it sounds crazy, but if they were able to then stack their balance sheet even more, that just gives them more opportunity to buy back shares, initiate a dividend, or make some kind of acquisition, or just further invest into something else they want to do, right? Or just basically deliver shareholder value. So if it gets to that point, I'm not totally opposed to it, right? But I don't know. I just feel like that's not really where Ryan Cohen's at, and at the same time, though, that would be an unprecedented level. So I would say I'm not totally opposed to it, right? But it's all context. It's very much all context. And if it's like a massive dilution, that would be very concerning. But if it's very small amount, let's say like 3 to 5 million, or you said like 5 to 10 million, and they could raise like tons of money. Like let's say they issue 5 million shares at 150 a piece, right? That's a lot. Let's get the calculator going. So let's say they do 5 million shares at 150 a piece. That's $750 million. That's a lot of cash to add to their balance sheet. Although, they already have 1.2 million, so what would that bring them to, like 2 billion approximately? And it's like, yeah, they can keep earning like a high interest, but I feel like as I'm like formulating this idea out loud right now or thinking about the idea of it happening, I'm thinking, okay, well, if they're doing that, I feel like they would be about to make a big move. And if they're about to make a big move, maybe they're about to spend a lot of cash, right? Like maybe they're about to go out and spend like 500 million to make some kind of acquisition to implement into their business. Like there's been a lot of ideas floated on in the past, right? Such as like Newegg is one that I've seen pop up here and there of them acquiring that and then implementing it into what they do. And obviously if they do that, like Newegg is currently losing business as it stands at this very given moment in time. But if they're able to consolidate it to be all out of that Texas warehouse and then close down some aspects of it, stop selling certain items that Newegg does, and basically trim the business to be profitable, maybe they can make it part of what they do, right? And more PC components type of thing. And then more private label brands, right? Again, that's just speculation. But if that's the case, then maybe they spend a lot of their cash and they want to raise a little bit of capital to just further bolster the balance sheet. But I don't know. I don't know, right? Because then it's like if 150, 5 million shares for 150, 750 million, is it that worth it? I don't know. I don't know, right? Again, I'm just speculating on the idea here, but that's also where you want to believe in the management team, right? Because if you believe in the management team, then you trust in the decisions they make. So that's why I'm very like I don't like blindly. Oh, yeah, Ryan Cohen's the best ever, right? Oh my god. But I believe in him to guide the ship and make the best decisions for the company. So that's also where you have to believe in the management team. And any investment in general that you make, you should always look into the management team and understand who they are and how they think because they're the ones making decisions in how the company executes. Let's see, why would Ryan Cohen dilute? They don't need the cash. If anything to do, share buyback. Exactly. No, exactly, Whiskey. Again, I'm just speculating on it, but they did do a buyback once already before the first run-up. Other than the options change gamma wrap, I've heard 3 plausible causes for this buy pressure. 1, stock buyback. 2, leap theory. 3, Archegos, UBS winding down position. What seems most plausible? Hard to say, Whimsy. Hard to say. I feel like institution is my best guess, right? Something with Archegos or UBS or some kind of swaps. That would be my best guess in terms of the institutional buying going on, but I can't say for sure. DFV is creating enough hype on his own, exactly. And would it matter? Tick 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 tock tick tock tick tock. Ryan's time is running out for UBS. See, that's the thing too. UBS got crazy screwed over in terms of Credit Suisse because they basically were forced to acquire it. And Credit Suisse's numbers and just before they got stuck holding the bag with Archegos, it was already kind of a mess going on there. So it's very possible, right? Talk about your price prediction for this week's price on GME. I'm trying to pay those student loans. DJ, please. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't have like a definitive prediction, right? I I think maybe we close at like 40 something at the end of the week, maybe 50. But hey, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know what's gonna happen. I hang on for the long term. The UFV tweets were 30 minutes apart yesterday, 15 apart today. It's possible Ryan Cohen about to deliver a baby as their contractions. Maybe. I mean, that's an interesting theory, but appreciate you being here, Joshua. Possibly bring back Bye Bye Baby. You lost me there. You lost me there, Joshua. But thanks for being here. I feel like the Roaring Kitty tweets are not to have effect anymore. What do you guys think? Yeah, I mean, I think it's also being overhyped, but can you move yourself to the lower left side of the screen, please? Whiskey, I got you. I'll do it next time because I feel like midstream. Oh, I see what you're saying because it's kind of like messing with the chart here, but I got you. Next time, I'm gonna do that. You think that's better? I feel like I thought with bottom right was better because it's like closer to chat, but I guess that doesn't really matter. So, but then again, the bottom left side of the screen is more less English is less relevant because the right side has like time and also sometimes what I'm looking at the end of a chart here. But if we go like this, it's all good. Why would oh my gosh, this is awesome, guys. I usually can always keep up with the chat, but today's tough. Truly wish you the best. I think it's the best play I know of. Next contractions DFE videos will be 5 minutes apart tomorrow. Babes are delivered between 5 to 1 minutes of contractions for Friday this weekend. TikTok. I don't know about that. SEC closing their eyes on locates, allowing many more GME shares short than otherwise. Yeah, listen, more and more shares just keep being borrowed. But sorry, but AMC can't pay off debt now. can't pay off the debt, nor do they want to. No, you're exactly right, Whiskey. You're exactly right. But I see closing their eyes and locates. That's interesting stuff. How much could GME drop? Got a visitor. Self-identified GME elitist at Babe. How much could GME drop? Babe, I guess you'll have to see. Stick around and find out. He's had time and money and probably help. There's a lot more info with the videos, and they're probably trading hours, which announcement will be okay. Finally catching up. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it if it's only 750 million. That's not going to change the trajectory of the company enough. Now, if they do somewhere in the raise 5-6 billion, then they could really make some moves. Yeah, so maybe if GameStop's like 3, 4, 500, then it's more worthwhile. Good point, David. Have you guys looked into the money call options yesterday? The prices were up. They were around 80,000 in the money contracts. My conclusion is nobody truly knows what's going on. Run the fuck around and find out territory. I think that's a good conclusion, Ryan. I definitely do. And I do apologize, guys, if I'm rambling here. 2 hours here, getting a little burnt out. But gotta keep going. We're rocking and rolling. Today, when the price went down and the in the money call contracts increased to 230,000 for May 7th. Damn. So is this gamma squeeze coming? DY, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. I think a lot of it will have to do with what this week ends at, right? Because if a lot of options end in the money this week, then it's a situation where T+2 within 2 days, if those are sold naked, right, then they have to fill those shares within that 2-day span. So, hi Tetron, what up? Tetron, it's okay. The chat is on top of your face. That's all. Oh, gotcha. Okay. I think you should invest in a green screen or whatever. You have a lot of potential, bro. If you keep pushing forward, you'll be able to get a decent following. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you. I'm really trying my best out here. I'm just trying to keep it genuine. Like that's so important to me. You see so many like stock influencers or just people talking about stocks like do this, do that. I'm telling you, OMG, oh my god, right? Overly dramatic, and then the thumbnail is like right? Stuff like that. So yeah, no, Marcus, I think I need to because this isn't the greatest background and not even the greatest setup, but I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna keep driving forwards and ultimately like really get a nice setup going. Like I was literally using this laptop, right? This Surface laptop for the longest time streaming, and it was really shitty because I had just literally a Windows 7 desktop, and then my cousin was rebuilding his PC, and he's like, "I can give you a lot of the old parts, and you just have to buy a few new ones." I'm like, that would be great. So he helped me build it, and this thing runs absolutely fantastic. Like it's absolutely awesome, and it's been so good streaming on here. But I wonder if Foreign Kitty is anticipating a large move when the cat system partially goes live May 28th, and all the SRO reporting obligations sometime July this year. Just a thought, Chris. It's possible. I've seen that idea thrown around a little bit too. But I've been trying to like, if you have any information or anywhere I should look, please tell me. I've been trying to learn more about what's changing with cat, but I feel like it's so hard to find, and I'm not sure if that's on purpose or it's just a very particular thing. But if you have any info or anything you think I should look up, definitely let me know. Yeah, loving the realness. Thank you, Sven. Thank you. I really always try and keep it real because nobody likes a phony. This is the bottom line. The only 11K in the money puts for GME, and GME is not a good investment, but right now, but it might be good for short-term trades. Hey, DY, listen, I get what you're saying on that, but I think just what's underlying makes this such a special story and just unique thing that's going on. And I think the company, under the management of Ryan Cohen, will drive forward and succeed. You know, maybe it's going to take a really long time, but I'm all right with that. I love this ride, and I would rather be early than late. So that's just me personally. But listen, if you're making money on this, I am happy for you in any shape or form. Let's fuck around and find out, ladies and gentlemen. May the best players win. I'll catch you later, Noah. Going to catch the Avalanche Stars game. Nice, Ryan. Hope you have a good night, man. Thanks so much for popping in. What a day, guys. What a day, though. What a week. What a life. What a time to be alive. Let's see what else we got in these nonsense articles here. Let's see. Unlike AMC Entertainment Holdings, a fellow meme stock darling that did cash in a share spiked, implying like AMC's this great company doing these great things. GameStop apparently didn't have a so-called at-the-market filing in place ahead of the rally, which would allow it to sell new shares with no additional paperwork. The retailer is also expected to release quarterly earnings soon. It may have decided it wouldn't or couldn't speed up the disclosures. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission would likely require to sell new stock. For companies to set up and sell shares in an ATM at the money offering, they would need to disclose any material information, which include blah 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 blah. Even if the regulatory lane was clear, a move for GameStop to sell new shares for the first time since 2021, when it raised $1 billion, could irk loyal traders that have touted its clean balance sheet with essentially zero debt and nearly $1 billion in cash. Okay, we already read that one, I think. But they're all just such nonsense. Especially like in the beginning of the week. I was reading one that was like, oh, this rally is not like the 2021 frenzy. It won't last. At that time, there were no sports, there was nothing to gambling on, there was nothing to gamble on, and everyone had tons of money flooding in. So people that wanted to gamble, stocks were the only game in town, and that led to the meme stock rally. Now is different. Anyone that wants to gamble could just log on to any sportsbook app and place a bet. There's sports, there's horse racing, there's tons of options. Like it's just and stimulus isn't there. Like that was literally the argument of the article, and it was the top article on Yahoo Finance on Monday night. So the mainstream media is just a joke. I think in general, everything going on in the world right now, right? The mainstream media is a joke, and it's just comical some of the ideas that are pushed, and it's crazy too. I mean, outside of like stocks, you can't seeing isn't even believing anymore. Looking at how AI is developing, like I keep saying, like the AI genie is out of the bottle because like there's no putting it back, right? Once it's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. And at this point, it's just evolving more and more and more. And like ChatGPT's been around for what, like a year now? I don't even know. Time flies. Less than a year, and it's already evolved so much. You saw that? Anyone see that new video of like the CEO, or he was like a guy and his son, basically like learning the Pythagorean theorem or something with triangles. Like, okay, well, what if this? What if that? Like, it's crazy the way it's evolving, and with that, right, you also have Sora coming out, which is another like open AI thing, which is going to be like AI generated videos that look super real. How are you even going to know what videos are real or not anymore, right? And it's crazy. And speaking of videos, anyone see like now I'm just thinking about all the like crazy things going on in the world right now, right? And of course, I clicked that Taylor Swift article before. How I was saying there's like it's like oh yeah, um, GameStop investors are just like Taylor Swift Swifties, right? And I called it nonsense, and I copied this article in here. See, this is what they're basically implying here. See, like you search this up now. Sure enough, look. Oh, the Taylor Swift Eras Tour was on Disney. But did anyone see, like, just on the topic of current events, the girl that flashed herself in the New York to Ireland portal? First, someone in Ireland totally fucked up. Put some like the Twin Towers like through the portal. Totally fucked up. Like, there's no reason to do that. And then so the one girl is like, it's crazy. And then when I saw an article, and this is just how much bullshit the mainstream media is, or just the crazy world we live in. It's like, oh yeah, she was doing it to get back at them for that. Like, what? And now the portal is literally temporarily closed. But it's just funny. It's crazy. It's just the things going on in this world, man. It's so crazy, and it's everything you see around you and read. It's so hard to know what's true and what's not right now. So let's see this one. How bad, of course, CNN clown show. How bad bets on meme stocks led to a $1 billion wipeout. The only bet riskier than buying meme stocks like GameStop may be cheering for their decline. That's the lesson Wall Street's short sellers are learning the hard way this week. See it here for the first time in 4 months this year. GameStop short sellers, investors who bet on the stock's decline, we're seeing on 292 million gains, up 50%. And again, this is just publicly recorded information. Does not account for any swaps and suppressed short interest. And again, short interest cannot be reported through swaps. That's just one example of it, but it seems there's other ways as well. With this week's surge, those gains have vanished and left shorts with more than 1.2 billion in paper losses, according to research from S3. Nearly 1 billion of that was wiped out on Monday alone. To understand the meme stock phenomenon, it helps to understand a bit of the tribalism underpinning it. When meme stocks first emerged in 2021, the day traders running up the price in GameStop weren't a bunch of anti-established marauders attacking Wall Street generally. They were going for the short sellers, regarded by many, from retail investors to CEOs like Elon Musk, to be the most revealed. That's how you know I'm getting tired. Revealed traders in finance. After all, no one likes the guy who gets rich off of others' failings. Short sellers argue, however, that they play an important role preventing market bubbles. Disgust for short sellers fueled GameStop's 2000 surge that ultimately squeezed firms like Citron Research to retire from the short selling game, and a year later forced a hedge fund, Melvin Capital, to fold entirely. Reddit community that originated the frenzy, Wall Street Bets, preached an us versus them investing style, often using profane language and memes to paint the short sellers as the enemy. If you were one, the apes, as day traders call themselves, see, not everyone's a day trader, just constantly grouping people together, inflicting financial pain on the shorts was just as important, if not more important, than lining your own pockets. Meme Mania 2.0, although meme fever is rising this week, set off by a single wordless social media post by GameStop stock guru Roaring Kitty, we're unlikely to see a repeat of the frenzy that gripped Wall Street 3 years ago. At that time, GameStop's short interest, aka the number of shares sold short relative to the total public float, was staggering 140%, meaning some shares had had been shorted more than once. Today's short interest is just 24%, firmly in negative sentiment territory, but nowhere near the absurd levels of 2021. Again, they got caught with their pants down at that time. Obviously, they're not going to let that happen again. So if you want to bet against it, you got to be a lot more strategic about it. Today's GameStop shorts aren't likely to hang on or repeat the mistakes of their Melvin Capital brethren. Then again, shorts and their meme pushing long positions enemies share a reputation for relentlessness. Looking at the fundamentals of GameStop, a mall-based retailer that's burning through cash and has already slashed expenses to stay in business, it's easy to understand why folks are wagering that it's on the decline. Buy-to-cover trades will force a lot of shorts out of their positions and push GameStop stock price higher than the day traders could on their own, wrote S3 Partners. There'll also be new short sellers entering the ring with GME stock price over $30 being an attractive entry point. Yeah, but how about the high cost to borrow rate? Like, they don't think of that. And then also, it's just like constantly grouping, right? And then you also will see like Wall Street Bets, right? This account, all of a sudden, right? They're tweeting about it. Crazy. Bruh, what the fuck? That's just disrespectful. Come over here, ticker is see, basically just trying to advertise for Wall Street Bets, but they just keep talking about GameStop all of a sudden, like apes. Oh yeah, Wall Street. Oh yeah, yeah, we've always been here, and just advertising for Wall Street Bets. But meanwhile, like you're not even allowed to talk about GameStop and Wall Street Bets. Anytime there's a price cycle, they suddenly open it up again. Like, oh yeah, come on in and talk about GameStop. YOLO into GameStop, right? And some would say there's influence as to why that happened, but I'll let you make your own determination on that. So, just some perspective. But let's see. Institutions are joining in. They prefer make decisions on fundamentals or quantitative. I prefer quantitative. DY for me mostly fundamental, but I definitely try and like look at everything all together. And I think with GameStop though, to be clear, like I think it's just such a unique story. Like obviously, like I want the fundamentals to be good, and as I keep showing here, not Taylor Swift, GameStop, things have significantly improved, right? And I have these charts here, but there's still much more to go, right? And I understand it's not like the fundamentals are much better than just a year ago or a couple years ago. There's still a lot more work for them to do to be really driving forward and succeeding. But I think just again with what's underlying, so long as the company succeeds, shady things underneath will bubble to the surface at some point or another. Seeing Quan makes it hard not to argument. Issues have always been in. I feel that Rory Kitty needs to make a video for himself, post it instead of posting news. Will definitely bring up GME. DJ, I get that, but at the same time, like you don't think if he made a video, he's gonna get on like there's gonna be some bullshit lawsuit coming his way. That's honestly my opinion. Like it'd be great to hear what he has to say, right? But I think just he would be under a lot of scrutiny, and then he's gonna get some kind of lawsuit. His name's gonna be dragged through the mud online, and he's gonna have to go through everything he went through post January 2021 all over again, right? So that's kind of my thought there. But hey, we'll have to see what happens. Let's see. I don't think he can legally. Agreed, Whiskey. Yeah, he would love that or a stream, but legal issues are likely. Do you if he can do anything he wants? Supposedly, I suppose he could, Josh, but is it worth it, right? Well, my thoughts are if there's assuming a 230,000 option contracts in the money, that would mean sellers of these options need to purchase 23 million shares to buy option buyers. Wouldn't make it go up on Friday. DY, yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but that's just, like one weekly option, right? And that does bring up another point, though, where if you look at the old video of Thomas Petterfree, I believe that's his name, the guy from, what's it called? Interactive Brokers. He was basically saying that like when all the calls were in the money, right? Like if it happened for another that week in a row where they wound up turning off the buy button, there literally would have been more shares to be bought than shares existing based on like the contracts written. So crazy, just craziness. I'm just glad he's back. I can hold another 3 years. Josh, hey, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. Whether he's back or not, I was gonna keep holding, but it was a nice surprise. Like I was literally Mother's Day, and I go on Twitter. I'm like, no fucking way. My entire feed is roaring kitty right now. Is this real? Is this real? Is someone playing with me? Wake me up. I'm dreaming, right? But roaring kitty doesn't impact the price. That's a narrative. Exactly, Liam. Exactly. Thank you for being here. Assuming everyone exercises the contracts. That's also a very good point. A lot of buy orders go through dark pools anyway. Price was moving up before he tweeted. Yes, sir. What are we thinking for AMC tomorrow, Bernardo? I'm thinking avoid it at all costs. They're probably gonna dilute it some more if it goes up, right? Because they need the capital to pay off the debt. If you want to do a quick trade, sure, go for it. But honestly, I think you're playing with fire there, and all you gotta do is pull up GME versus AMC. Wall Street Bets suddenly talking about GME again is extremely sus. Whimsy, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, and every single time that happens, I'm kind of like, you know that meme? It's like, why not? True, but how do you explain the rise in the money contracts after the price decline? Usually you would expect the numbers to fall too. Obviously, someone is buying in a lot, 3 or 4 times more. DY, thank you. I appreciate that insight. Yeah, so it's hard. I'm reading the chat fast. I'm trying to like digest what everyone's saying, but yeah, that is a very good point, right? And I think the next 2 days are going to be very, very interesting. And by Friday's close, we'll have a decent idea of where things are at and what the next week might look like. Obviously, nothing's for sure, but I think the end of this week, like when it closes on Friday, we'll have to see, right? And if you guys are interested, I'm probably going to do a stream Friday afternoon. Keep an eye out for that. Probably just hang out outside if the weather's nice. Just talk about what happened during the week. That's what I did like 2 Fridays ago. So stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out. Follow me on Twitter/X at Tetron Invest. It's always post like when I'm going to stream, so you can kind of keep up with me there. But damn, you guys are so awesome. Thank all of you for tuning in right now. Really can't thank you enough for being here, hanging out, talking to stock. I love reading what you guys have to say. Just keep learning, just getting different perspectives. There's always more to learn. Could be interested parties realize how much of a backlash they got for getting Wall Street Bets Reddit shut down during the sneeze. They're going with more subtle taxes this time. Welfare reporting mods. Possibly, Whimsy. Definitely possible. You know, anything's to be determined. But did you listen to today's Bigums theory? Jose, I can't. Honestly, I don't follow that guy. It's not my cup of tea. Yes, Chaser, 4th Gen Warfare. There's around 5 to 10 times the float in options expiring in the money. Hedgies funds needed under 20. We needed over 30. Shane, thanks for being here. Yeah, getting exhausted, guys. But yeah, it's just crazy how many options are being written again, right? And the next 2 days will be interesting. And by the way, if you guys are curious, so my friend sent me the link, so I don't have it with me. And look at this, 126 million in volume. You can actually, without having Robinhood, you can actually look and see like what the overnight trading price is for GameStop, right? So while it's like to be taken with a grain of salt, but while it's to be taken with a grain of salt, then who knows, right? We had times where it went up overnight. Sorry, someone had to tell me something real quick. Totally lost my train of thought. But we like you can like get some perspective on it, but you should take it with a grain of salt, right? Because if you look at today, like look at how the pre-market started, and then it went, woo, like all the way down. And in overnight trading, like oh yeah, it's like it's in the 60s again. But then again, if you look at Monday into Tuesday, you look at overnight trading, we saw the price moving dramatically, and then pre-market opens and it's had a huge move. Like Monday or Tuesday was just a crazy day. Literally waking up and GameStop is up 100%. Like I already had people text me, and I'm like this is crazy. This couldn't be, could it? But yeah, I'm pretty much getting out of breath, so I think I'll wrap it up here. And then I just show this again. Totally fine, nothing to see here. Ron Kitty posting memes should be investigated per the former SEC, right? But this is totally fine, right? Totally, totally fine. And this is a great comment here. Shout out to a place of welcoming. It's ridiculous how hypocritical our government is. It's very true. That's a great comment. But yeah, no, I think I gotta wrap it up here, guys. I'm getting exhausted. I really gotta save some energy for tomorrow, right? I gotta work, gotta keep an eye on the stock, and leave you if you feel like screenshotting some of these numbers just to get some perspective on it. I made these charts, and just like GameStop improving brick by brick, I'm gonna keep improving brick by brick. Just keep doing more and more. And yeah, I think this is pretty much it for today. Let's just hit the chat one more time. Let's see. Can you explain, or let's see. There's around, oh, Max Pain is 18 on GME. Can you explain Max Pain real quick? Has to do with shorts and interest? Yes, Sven. So Max Pain, if the Max Pain is 18 for this week, that means the most options on the puts and call side would expire worthless. So if GameStop closes at exactly 18, the most amount of options would be worthless, right? Like that's the price point at which the most amount of options would expire worthless. So obviously we're way higher than that right now, so a lot of the calls would close in the money. There's a new video next of Kramer saying they never covered the shorts before. From them before, Shane, I haven't seen that. I'll have to take a look out for that, but thanks for popping in. Do you have any other socials? I think you have a really smart opinion. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you very much. I really only use X right now in terms of like Tetron. So X, YouTube. So subscribe to me on here. Follow me on there. Yeah, that's all I really post on right now. But I try and also like put out on YouTube like a post like saying when I'm gonna stream each week. And I always try for like Monday and Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Although I'll tell you like next week I think I'm good for that, but the couple weeks after that, although actually next Wednesday I know I'm not gonna be able to. So yeah, the couple weeks coming up, I do have some things going on, so the schedule's gonna fluctuate a little bit. But maybe it's time to start expanding to TikTok or Instagram. I don't know. I've kind of tried to just stick to what I know the most or can do, and it's just more and more work, right? But if I want to do this and just keep growing as a platform, I got to start doing the other socials. So maybe I have to hop on those other ones. So for now, yeah, just X and YouTube. But appreciate you asking that. What do we get the data on short data? Is just 24% short interest multiplying total number of shorts of shares. Yeah, DUI, but also there's like if you look it up, you could also find like the exact amount of shares, but you could also do the math like percentage relative to the total. But in terms of like swaps, there's no way of finding anything reported on that. That's for sure, unfortunately. But expand highest number level of loss for options holders. Exactly. Cheers. Good night. Good night. Tell you guys what DFV did for me. If he's in, I'm in. He gives the confidence to buy the dip. I got lucky with a lot of calls from GME at $10. That's what does for me. Hey, Manakila, I'm absolutely happy for you. Do what's best for you. That's always the way to go. Don't blindly follow anyone. Don't blindly follow me. Don't blindly follow DFV. Just do what's best for you. That's ultimately what's you can like me. You can like DF value, right? But always stick to what's best for you and stick with what you determine. And just keep figuring out thyself. Thanks, Whiskey and Tetron. It's the clear my keyboard is acting up. You're good, no worries. Good job, Tetron. Thank you. Just found you. Good stuff. Shane, thank you so much. Appreciate you very much. All of you being here. Subscribe, drop a like, follow me on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days. This is where I also post about GameStop and just updates. And so it's a little pin tweet just talking about what I think about their net income right now and just how they're turning things around. And yeah, I think building wealth matters. I'm passionate about stocks, economics, Bitcoin, GameStop, self-improvement. Join me on my journey to continuous learning. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.